do it.
All right, man. So we got Adam22 in the building, man.
Shout out Rios. What's going on, man?
All right, man. You know, started my new channel. I got Mr. Jason Rios happening. So it's just my stuff outside of Society of Freedom, like separating the two. But I'm good. I can't complain. It's summertime. Kids graduating, nieces, nephews, kids enjoying the summer, you know, in a good place. What about you, man?
Yeah, you know, my kid graduated preschool yesterday and just grinding interviews and just, you know, keeping things going.
How many interviews are you averaging right now, like a week?
It's like so all over the place because I feel like I had a week where I did like 10 recently, and then this week might be like 3. And then it's always the slow weeks where I start like pulling my hair out and freaking out and being like, I need to do more. I need to make this kind of content. I need to do 3 live podcasts a week instead of 1. Or, you know, it's like kind of all over the place. But I mean, definitely during like COVID and stuff, I had weeks where I did like 20 interviews in a week, which still sounds crazy to me, but it's kind of all over the place.
How's that possible? Like, yeah, how is it possible? Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you, is it just that you already have so much information on these people? Or are you researching and looking up everybody like proper?
Like 2023, I was still doing my own research, and that's when I really felt like doing so many podcasts was taking like a real effect on me mentally, because I would like be in the office from, let's say, like 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then I would get home and I would immediately have to just get on the computer and just be going nuts trying to research for the next day. But now I have a lot more help with like Remo and people on my team, like kind of putting the questions together. And then it's more like I review the questions and do my own research based off the questions and add more stuff. But basically I've like kind of made it so that I like have to spend a lot less time preparing for interviews, you know. But then also it's just kind of like, and I kind of knew in like 2022, I knew that like, you just got to do all the interviews that you can, like if you think that they're worth doing, especially given my kind of channel where so much of it is like regional, and you just got to do it. And then because you know there's going to be times where there's less, you know, and I feel like the culture as a whole, there's like less important interviews to do right now. So I still got to like really fight hard to get the ones that are actually matter, you know?
So what are you doing with that when the pool is getting lower or less in the pool? What do you do? How do you, because I'm thinking right now, from what I'm seeing, the pivot is underway with no jumper. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know if it's out of necessity or if it's out of lack of talent or lack of people, like, or if you're basing it off history, like, fuck, it's time to elevate or graduate or promote to a different level. Am I off with that? Or
I mean, I don't feel like we're really like changing anything too dramatically. I do feel like I have a little bit of an epiphany, which is kind of like the realization, and probably a lot of people will think that this is really obvious, but the realization that building podcasts where the primary hosts are gang members who don't necessarily have a lot of like business experience or broadcast experience, et cetera, is kind of like, the more that you do that, the more that you're kind of building the podcast on a little bit of shaky ground.
Wait, that was the epiphany that you just had? Like,
and that would probably be like really obvious to people who aren't in this space at all.
Yeah. And so, or somebody who is in that space, living that life, growing up that life, is like, wait, this is not a good idea. This is what we understand about it. Is it the non-experience in that world that's like, oh shit, this can work? But I was like, Adam's too smart for this shit. You know what I mean? Like, he has to know I guess this shit is gonna fucking blow up.
I always like think of like street dudes and like gang members or whatever as like regular people for the most part, you know? And yeah, I don't know. It's like I kind of just have sort of had like a bunch of realizations pushed upon me over the years. That's kind of like, you know, and I'm not trying to get away from it 100%, because especially like, you know, you're from a gang background. A lot of people are, you know, in LA, like a lot of the most successful people we could think of in the music business, et cetera, are like people who basically were full-fledged gang members when they were younger. And then at a certain point, it kind of takes like a backseat in their life or whatever. But lately I've like been doing podcasts with more comedians and people that are a little bit more.
Craig Smith was fucking dope. You know,
he was
what I mean?
amazing.
Like,
yeah.
He's he has a lot of depth to him. You know what I mean? But he also has a lot of experience in different avenues and navigating life, rapping, the streets, and comedy.
And just talking to him and like realizing like, oh, and then also just realizing, because like No Jumper's brand for the last couple of years has been like, this is kind of like a sketchy, dangerous place because there's a lot of different gang members that are coming in and out of there every day. And I feel like in large part, we've kind of like avoided any like real catastrophes related to that. But also like, I don't know, I've kind of just had the realization that like, maybe I need to push things in a little bit more of a professional direction in a variety of ways. Like even just looking at the wall behind the podcast and having all the graffiti on it or whatever, and now people are crossing each other out, is kind of like, okay, maybe if the set looks a little bit more professional, maybe if, you know, because like really the thing that blew up the Tuesday show was me basically just like introducing a different gang member into a scenario where we already had 2 other gang members. Now, it worked for a long time with Aunt Hefe, but Aunt Hefe is like super chill, you know, ironically, because based on his charges or whatever. But like, you know, he was just like so laid back, low key. As soon as I put J Hood in that environment, I kind of like just realized like, oh, this was a sort of tinderbox waiting to go up right here.
But what was the need? So I got this 2 things. What was the need for J Hood to be added? Like, weren't you already smooth sailing with what you had? Like,
well, no, because Ant went down for his case. And so J Hood is someone I had like interviewed maybe a couple months before, and I kind of appreciated his energy and his enthusiasm. And I just thought like, oh, this is a guy who I really want to try out. And I tried him out with Munchie and Spotify one time and it was good. And then did it again. And I don't know, just really went left.
It went left, and it's kind of understandable because you got to give people the opportunity to recover from what just took place. Like, okay, now we have to transition, but while we're transitioning, figuring out this shit, let's not add another thing to it. It's like getting a divorce and immediately bringing a woman in front of the kids. Like, oh, here we go, we're moving on. It's like, oh, fuck, wait, what's going on?
I thought I did enough to sort of pave the way for it because I like got him and Munchie to sit down on a podcast together, and that went well. And then it ultimately ended up kind of, well, at least from the Spotify situation, just kind of, I think it ended up being the fact that like some of these guys are like pretty paranoid about Wack. And I think that they oftentimes like attribute things that have nothing to do with Wack. And so the fact that like Spody and J Hood got into it about Wack essentially kind of like, I don't know. I think that like when somebody's real close to Wack, certain people like Spody and Munchie are just like kind of paranoid about it because they just think of Wack as like kind of like Trump. Like he just occupies like a little too much space in their mind, and they kind of like tend to go to him as like the root of all evil.
Well, he kind of injects himself into a lot of shit.
But that specific situation didn't really have anything to do with Wack, but then somehow it like got attributed to him.
Yeah, because it's like, shit, this motherfucker's involved with so much shit. Who else was it? Like, it's like the boy who cried wolf.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna associate this with him because there's so much shit that's involved. I get it. I got a question about Wack, but I want to talk about you because I just recently, the Doughboy Moose Man Monday show.
Yeah.
Is that the Monday show? No, it was with Rick Rock. Just with the Rick Rock.
Oh, the Tuesday show.
The Tuesday show. And you said you went to the gang culture carried you through. You know what I mean? Like it was a saving grace, basically. Like this is shit when it was down. This is what helped me through COVID or whatever you said. And
coming out of that sort of SoundCloud rapper wave that was really like our whole thing, like 2015 through 2020. And it wasn't intentional, but it was kind of like AD comes on, like, which wasn't intentional because like I knew he was from a hood or whatever, but I wasn't like thinking of him as being on some super gangster shit or whatever. AD comes in, that works. All of a sudden he brings Trell around, and then that kind of leads to like Smack being on there. And then around the same time I like discovered CripMac. So that even just if you like narrowed it down to just those pieces, it's kind of like, oh, okay, now No Jumper is going to be viewed as something that's like a lot more street oriented. And I'm gonna be real, like I didn't really, as far as like underground street music coming from LA, not really like something that I was like super fascinated by when I started the podcast, because I was more focused on, you know, like weird internet shit, I guess you could say, like, you know, internet rap, underground music, etc. And there's like a lot of,
those were your actual interests. Those were the things that you were spending time on your own.
Oh yeah. That's what made No Jumper a thing, was the fact that I was like taking in so much information about so many of these underground rappers without having any kind of like benefit that I could glean from it. And then, you know, kind of switched over at a certain point just because I feel like that underground wave just died like cataclysmically. Like a lot of the artists literally died, and then like a lot of the enthusiasm as a result kind of just went away. But a lot of that music, like I'm gonna be real, like 2010 era LA hip hop, a lot of stuff that a lot of people really like that I'm really not that enthusiastic about it.
Yeah. But that's what it's about. It's about finding the shit that you enjoy, right? And so you said like naturally the ADT rail smack, and then you mentioned CripMac, and then that situation goes however it goes. We don't have to focus on that. But after that exodus, then you dive even further into that culture.
Well, because then you go from like AD and T-Rail, which not even using this as a thing to talk shit about them or whatever, but like as gang members, they're chilling, right? Like for the most part, they're not like on some tripping shit. But like then when they leave, it's like boom, Brick Baby just ends up taking the place, and so now you transition to somebody who is, you know, kind of lived a much more dangerous lifestyle. He's really got ops out here. He's really like kind of moving around a different type of way, and then you know, Munchie kind of came like after Brick got basically picked up for his Fed case. But then again, with Munchie, you know, he's got a certain reputation. People view him as having a pretty crazy street career and everything like that. So that then all of a sudden it's kind of like, oh, we went from like a safer version of like street culture to like, oh, okay, now it's a little bit crazier. And then obviously the cherry on top was really that. Oh, and then you got to throw Wack in there too, because Wack coming on the platform obviously kind of changed how people view it. But that beating that took place in the alley was really like, as much as it was just kind of a thing that happened one day and then like life went on, it was like from the public's perception,
polarized.
That was bad. That was real bad, you know?
And it's stacked on top of each other. You know what I mean? Like, because even from, it seems like I don't know if this is just me just looking too far into it, but it's like, it seems like you be having some good shit going. Great, smooth flow. And then I don't know if it's out of, greed, and you're just like, let's just add this to that. Like even with Brick, you added DWP Nice, and that happened. You just talked about ADT Rail, you add the CripMac, and you add like different elements. Then you have Munchie B, Spody, and it's going good, smooth. Like I'm like, oh shit, they back rolling in and getting it. Then you add J Hood after Anhefe, and it's like not necessarily self-sabotage, but maybe the need to keep it cracking. You know what I mean? And like, I got to keep this machine rolling.
Yeah.
But maybe it's those are moments where we should chill and like take a look.
I just think like the ratio of the Tuesday show, looking back at it, I probably should have like not, I should have been like a little bit more mindful about adding in this Crip who's fresh out and is like really turned up. Like, you get like they got into an argument, like a little argument that really wasn't that crazy, him and Spotify, and it was like, let's go outside, boom. Like, you know, most people in the podcasting space, like even the gang members, like 99% of them, like, when have you ever seen that happen? Motherfuckers don't just say like, oh, you disagree, boom, we outside, let's do this. You know, like that was just, I guess I just didn't realize like how
volatile
turned up J Hood was.
It's volatile energy.
Yeah,
like when you bring two pit bulls, you bring a new pit bull into the backyard, somebody's got to figure out who's the alpha dog. You know what I mean? Like, and when somebody is freshly dealing with PTSD or dealing with still in that element or that shit, like that's the understanding, like, okay, I need to navigate this a little bit more.
Because, you bringing up the Brick and DW thing, that is a really good example too, because I brought them together on the podcast, and like the whole thing is we're just trying shit out. We're not doing like a test case before. We're just hopping on the pod live and just seeing how it goes, you know? And I'm not understanding necessarily that they're like from very different sides of the Crip world, you know? Like it took a little bit for me to realize like, oh, okay. Traditionally, these dudes don't necessarily mix. And then, you know, it didn't really like get set off. Like it was all good around me and stuff. But at that time, that's when we were trying to just let people stream at night and stuff. And that's when you get DW saying, you know, a negative slur for Brick's neighborhood or whatever. And then that boom, that just set it off. And I didn't really know that was going to happen either. Yeah.
And that's the life. And so when people say like, oh, the exploitation or they throw the culture vulture thing, I think it's also a lack of understanding of how quick, like Rick Rock tried to tell you like, hey man, did somebody's head get blown off? This and that, we see this and that. Like we understand how from 0 goes to 10 in less than a second. And so when we're saying like, hey man, this is a situation might be this way, like it's not coming from an empty space. It's coming from like a real, like, dude, this is dangerous because not even just this hood, just the mentality of how you're raised is disrespect. And then we go here. It's not a conversation, talk about it. But I like that everybody is elevating and growing in the space, but it's like a certain understanding that you have to have when you're dealing in that energy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like my intention going forward is just to be, you know, both of those are great examples. The Brick and DW thing, and then the sort of introducing J Hood to the Munchie and Spody dynamic or whatever is like, I just feel like
it's like your foot. Boom.
Yeah, well, it's not that I'm gonna like totally shy away from doing content with dudes who are from gangs or whatever.
No, because like, that's a part of the world. This is a real thing.
But I'm gonna mind the ratio a lot more intentionally going forward, just because I feel like the sort of mix that has always made No Jumper work in people's minds is kind of like the mix of the hipster type dude, and obviously there's a lot of different levels to that, and then like a more street type personality. You know, I think that our audience likes to see that sort of mix, and I think that maybe for a little bit there we were getting a little bit too into the gangster shit, because, you know, obviously it was like a claim to fame or like something that really intrigued people, having a dude from 8 Trey, a dude from Rolling 40s, and a dude from Inglewood Families like all on a podcast together. But, you know, obviously there's also risks and concerns that come with that.
Well, a good question would be, did it intrigue you? Did it excite you?
I mean, to be real, it came together like very organically, because for a little bit there, it was just like me, Munchie, Lush. And then like, you know, Aunt Hefe comes around, cool, boom, they're everybody getting along. And then we had Spody Face, you know, and it's not like I'm just like plunking people in, you know, like I asked everybody for each of these editions. I'm like, so you're cool, like on a street level, on a personal level, you guys are all going to get along. It's cool. And everything was always good. And then, you know, shit kind of went sideways.
At any part, like at any time, because I guess what I'm trying to say is like a certain amount of pride or ego, like, damn, look at what I can do. Look at what I'm doing. And it's new to me and this and that. Like it had to have some kind of excitement value to it, like ownership of like, damn, look at what I'm creating. This is tight. People telling me, oh, I can't believe you did this. And chasing that sort of high.
But I think it was more like the reason why it was cool was because it was so not an issue. Like there was never some weird neighborhood Inglewood thing or whatever with like Spody and Munchie. And, you know, I don't think Aunt Hefe damn near never even talked anything about his street shit really, besides like telling us about his old case back in the day type shit, you know? So it was never even an issue. It never even really like came up like that. People thought it was dope, but it also was like almost never discussed really, like on the podcast, you know? So yeah, it was
good while it lasted. It was good while it lasted, and you did do something that people were actually like, damn, that's crazy. Yeah.
And I could tell with J Hood that like he feels kind of bad and feels like, damn, there's like so much pressure on me now because I'm viewed as the one who basically like fucked up this dynamic. And then meanwhile, he's so brand new to potting that he's not necessarily like super confident in what it even is to be a podcaster. You know, he really be like asking me advice, like on some humble shit, because he knows that he's brand new to this shit. A lot of people like, you know, Munchie was making content for years before he was on No Jumper. Spody, I guess not so much, but you know, even he had a YouTube channel and had a big YouTube channel before he came on No Jumper and shit like that. So yeah, it's kind of
he's fresh in the game, but that's dope that he's learning. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I've seen him podding, and he has good timing. He doesn't jump in over people. He doesn't talk, or like he has an element to him that is going to be successful. He keeps going and keeps learning. Well, if he keeps asking and learning, it's only a bright future. But I do want to ask about Wack 100. Like, the addition of Wack to No Jumper and the balance of hurt versus help. And I know you guys' show does really well, your podcast together. But at what point, I'm not saying do you change ways, but at what point do you like, damn, maybe I'm giving a little bit too much leeway here or this and that? Because if somebody's at your company threatening or saying I could do this or have this up here, it's almost like somebody in your house telling you what they could do in your house. Does that affect you at all?
As far as the idea of him actually like doing anything violent at the office or anything like that, I feel like it's not. I don't think he would do that. You know, like he's had plenty of opportunities where there was somebody around or he knew somebody was there that he had issues with, and he'll even call in and be screaming on somebody. And obviously he could just pull up, but we never really like actually ran into that. And even like, you know, when he was so furious at Moose Man that he was screaming at the top of his lungs and he lost his voice, it's like, you know, he didn't even really like try to swing in that moment, which I appreciated, even though the fact that he even was being that aggressive in the first place seemed kind of out of whack to me at the time, no pun intended. But yeah, I don't know, like Wack. I have at least some of the concerns that everybody else has, which is basically like, is the juice worth the squeeze? Because he is very entertaining, and he's obviously got a lot of the attributes that you would want from a podcaster, which is that he has extremely strong opinions, which is, you know, not always easy to come by. He's outspoken. He knows a ton of people. He's out here in the world. He's constantly viral. Anything that happens in the media, he's probably got a lot of different opinions about and shit like that. But is it sometimes worth it? I don't know. I mean, right now is weird because like for a while, the awkwardness was the fact that the Tuesday show had Brick, which he was always at odds with, even though they never saw each other in real life. And then the Spodie and Munchie thing. So it was always like, I do a pod with him, and then in the same week I do a pod with some other people that are hating on him and talking shit about him. And so now all of a sudden we're in a moment where nobody's an anti-Wack person at No Jumper. Wack could actually hang out with everybody at No Jumper right now. Like they could all be in the same building, which is awkward. Like that's almost awkward because it hasn't been like that at all.
Almost as if it was orchestrated.
I mean, but I feel I see a lot of people saying that, but
I was like, let's bring J Hood in here, let's throw some shit around, and I'm just fucking around with that.
I mean, people don't believe me, but like that was the last thing on my mind, bringing him around. Like my
on your mind,
because Munchie and J Hood had been arguing online and beefing, right? But it wasn't about Wack, and so like my whole thing was like I'm gonna get them on good terms, and I did, but again, like, wasn't about Wack. I don't think we really even talked about Wack during the pod that they did together. Like that wasn't even on my mind as like a thing that would get between them. Because also it wasn't so obvious to me that like they've known each other since J Hood was like a child. Yeah. Which is pretty significant. You know, if I knew you since you were in diapers, our relationship would be way different, right? Like I would feel a different level of like, I got to protect him, or I got to like look out for him, or whatever. If you knew someone since you're a kid, I don't even really have that life experience because I never like hung out with a baby and then all of a sudden they were a grown up. Yeah, and then knowing them their whole life, you pretty much know who they are and what they'll do. Yeah. So that's another like, and this is not even a bad like Wack is good at what he does. Like he's dope. He music industry managing on the podcast. He's instant attention, right? Like he's got it going on. Like he's got the good topics, the good opinions, perspective. But then you also got like because he brought in DW and P Nice, right? I think I can't honestly remember if that was my idea to have DW try out, or I feel like DW mentioned it to me, and then somehow we were like, shout out to DW and P Nice. Yeah, shout out to them for sure. Dope. Yeah, I don't honestly remember if it was Wack's idea or that DW just hit me directly, but yeah, I mean that was like just a time period where I feel bad about that kind of because they sort of like got shut out because there was just so much bullshit happening. Like Dejan faked being shot, and then that sort of like butterfly effect like ended with me just being like, listen, I don't even feel like we got to do the news. We don't got to do these shows. Like it's just too much risk for not enough benefit at that time, you know? Right. Because interviews always outweigh the podcast, right? Well, that's like something that people are kind of in denial about is the fact that like You know, when I look at Vlad's business model, Vlad's just all interviews all the time. That's the only thing he does. He spends his free time figuring out different people that he could hunt down to get an interview with, or flying out on the weekends to get an interview with somebody that he knows would be a big opportunity or whatever. And like, I do that too, but Vlad is more, I think Vlad would not do his own version of the No Jumper show where it was just him and a couple of homies sitting there cracking jokes, whatever, on live, because I think he wouldn't see the benefit of it business wise, because it's probably like one of the less profitable aspects of No Jumper. Like if I really wanted to, I would just really kind of like 100% focus on the podcast, like doing interviews. But then there is like a different segment of the audience that is into seeing a bunch of homies kicking it and talking. And then that kind of gives you like a backbone to the business that is a little bit more sustainable than the interviews, because with interviews, it's like right now we're kind of riding a high because we had Adrian Broner, Charleston White, a Blueface interview, all these different interviews that like kind of have had the channel doing crazy numbers for the last month or two. But then it's like, I don't necessarily have like a shitload of interviews lined up, because there's only so many interviews that are going to be able to do as crazy of numbers as those. And it is kind of like a weird feeling to really be so reliant on it. You know, it's a nice feeling to be able to just have these couple of shows per week that you know are going to consistently do well and feed that percentage of the audience that doesn't maybe necessarily care about the interviews as much as they just want to see like a bunch of friends kicking it, you know?
Yeah. And the podcast it's a bit of a networking to that as well. You know what I mean? Because who you're podcasting with, you have access to those people, their people. And
True.
So there's pros and cons to everything, but you've been kind of, I think I've heard you say a couple times, like the podcast era is coming to an end, or it's changing, and you have to be ready for that adjustment. You know what I mean? And the fans supporting what you have going on is like what you did have going on was like almost like watching a train wreck. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, what the fuck is this about to happen?
Yeah.
I gotta watch what's next. What's gonna happen next? What's the next? And the it's almost like spoiling the child, right? Like now their expectation is drama, chaos. What's next? And it's just gonna keep getting crazier and crazier because you got to feed the beast. And it's almost like they're watching the train wreck, but then the live having to be canceled, the live show having to be canceled. What does that tell you about the temperature? I'm just picking your brain right here.
I mean, like my main takeaway from that, and especially like talking to the booking agent and stuff, is he was like, yo, like most people are like less loud about this than your audience has been, but basically they're just canceling live podcasts left and right. Like, you know, it's like something that people were really excited about in 2021, 2022, et cetera. But it's just kind of, I don't know. I felt like people got a taste for it. They went to a lot of live podcasts and then they just kind of got over it. Now, like comedy still does really well, I feel like. But as far as like the live podcast thing, I'm not gonna lie, like people saw how much seeming momentum there was around the Tuesday show for a while there. Like they were really enjoying the Anne Hefe, Munchie, Spody, and Lush and me vibe. And we promoted the live show for like 3 weeks and sold 30 tickets.
Yeah.
And that was kind of shocking to me. And that's like even before they left, you know, and then they left. And so we kind of felt like, okay, we got to like add some shit to this that'll work. So I basically, you know, me and 4 Extra had already been kind of being led back together by Lupe. She had been trying to make that happen and stuff like that. So me and 4 Extra got on the phone, had a good conversation, and basically I was like, listen, let's do a full interview, but let's also do this live show together. He was down. I figured that would move the needle for the live show. Didn't matter. We added 607 Unk and Hater World. I figured both of those podcasts are pretty popular. Didn't really do anything. And so when I saw that, I was just like, oh, all right. Like if the YouTube shit is doing so well, I'm not going to be like pulling my hair out, losing my mind, trying to push this live show when the live show was always going to be basically like a break-even proposition, you know, or like if it was profitable, it was a couple grand, whatever. It wasn't going to be anything too crazy. So I think I got like my realization right there that the live show shit and people like, obviously people who don't like me want to make it like, oh, they hate you. They hate you so much that they won't go to your live show. But I mean, it was being promoted by a whole shitload of other people. It was being, you know, we brought in different podcasts and stuff. To me, that just told me like, all right, the live podcast thing is just not
is not it.
It's just not it, I guess.
I've been a part of two of them with the FMW, and they were dope. They were tight. You know what I mean? Like, it was fun. It was more so about having a good time. You know what I mean? And like being with the people and having a good time.
And those were great times. Like the first No Jumper live show and even the Nova one, like those were great times. That was like really, it was just something amazing. And because we did shows in Boston and New York too, it was the same thing. Like it's just having that group of people that really know your content to the point where they're in on like every single inside joke and everything is like, I don't know. That's kind of a magical feeling. So I am kind of bummed that the people don't seem to be interested in it anymore, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, but like you got to dissect that shit though, because Trell, AD, Pun, I'm not sure how much Pun was a part of the No Jump, but like that their support is fans that like them. You know what I mean? Like that they want to be involved with what they have going on. And there may be ghost supporters of No Jumper. You know what I mean? Like people that don't necessarily hate you. They just are not wanting to be maybe necessarily seen supporting or want to be out. Like it's almost like when everybody was surprised when Trump won the vote, because it was people not overtly expressing their love for Trump, but behind closed doors, your numbers are through the roof or this and that. And it could be like, I don't know, maybe it's not gonna be the best element because of this and that. Maybe it's, you know what I'm saying? Like there's a overflow of that.
I mean, at least part of it is the fact that, okay, like I was talking to a clothing brand one time, like recently, about like how they do promotion. And they were basically like, bruh, you can move so much merch, but you got to move back towards more of that like hip underground kid vibe. And I'm like, why are you saying that? He's like, because the hood don't spend money on anything. And I'm like, oh, that's your experience? He's like, trust me, if I get one of these like little underground rapper kids to like rock our shit, we will sell out of that design. He's like, I've tried putting my shit on the gangster ass dudes and like, it'll get a bunch of likes. Maybe we'll get some followers on the account and shit. But that audience is not buying merchandise on anywhere near the level of the kids who have, you know, like pink hair and fucking whatever, like make weird auto-tune music or whatever, which that seems kind of obvious now that I think about it, but that doesn't really occur to me. And I feel like that's part of the problem with the live show thing too, is that, you know, we all know that like, you know, gangster music, street music is like really big, but most drill rappers can't even tour.
Right.
Like at all. Like even aside from the fact that it's like probably just not a great idea because it's super dangerous and shit. But like, you know, it's just, I think to a certain extent, the fan base that we've kind of grown is just not necessarily the kind of fan base that's like really dying to go to a live show. But as far as like the Fig Community thing too, it is kind of funny seeing them like do a little victory lap about that, because it's like, you know, obviously we get like, you know, 20 times as many views as them or whatever. So this is like the one little thing that they can kind of pick on and be like, look, you took a L. But like, let's not forget that they canceled the whole US tour.
Right. But wouldn't you expect them to do that? Like from the energy of the back and forth, like that should be expected.
Yeah, but
like the opponent, not necessarily the opposition.
Oh,
the opponent,
just them talking shit based on that, for sure. But like, it does take kind of like a suspension of reality to be like, oh, look at you guys had to cancel a show when they had to cancel a whole tour. And I remember when they did their last LA show, and I remember how upset Trell was, and he was like swearing that he's never going to do another one and shit like that because they were having to do like 3-for-1 ticket sales and shit like that. So, I mean, they saw, whether they want to like admit it or not, they saw that this is not necessarily a great market for live podcasts at this point. And I noticed as well that like Joe Budden, 2020, 2021, 2022 type era, they were live and doing huge live podcasts all over the place, and they just stopped.
But 30, that's fucking surprising to me though. Like 30 tickets, like too, that's fucking. When you said that, I was like, what?
For a podcast that at the time was getting, you know, 100,000, 120,000 views per week, and a lot of people would be like, oh, but those people aren't local. But Los Angeles is our biggest city, our biggest market for sure. I forget what percentage, but I mean, it's it to me, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of like other podcasts that you could kind of even put in our category that are doing well with the live show thing. I know that people have told me like 85 South Show does like insane.
Yeah.
Live.
Like they're fucking nuts.
But that's kind of like a comedy audience too. So that might change things.
You may have also I don't know what your demographics are, but you may have isolated yourself from the Mexican support also.
But that it did kind of occur to me, but then we added the hater world thing too. So I figured like maybe that'll kind of
hater world has a lot of haters from that demographic also.
I realized that more when I announced them on it too, because I saw like a lot of other podcasts talking shit. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't even really.
And it's that's a big part of Southern California, and you hear them say, oh, we go to the concerts, we support this and this and that. That's a big demographic that may have been isolated out through whatever interactions that have taken place. And it's like, okay, so it's a number of things, but I was just like, damn, maybe the audience has pivoted and it's a different support system than what it used to be. And they've gone away from the pink hair SoundCloud. Maybe those were the supporters. And maybe the way that the energy or the way the podcast is gone, it has pushed them away and brought in another type of supporter. You know what I mean? And this is like, oh, these are the Mayweather fans that want to see him lose or win. It doesn't matter. They just want to see some shit get fucked up.
Yeah.
And so I think right now is like a perfect opportunity for you to do what the fuck you want to do and what you're fucking interested in, and to put that on display. What are you fucking interested in? Because did you lose the BMX kid? Did you lose part of him? Like, who are you now? You know what I mean? Like, that kid was dope. That kid was in tune with what was fucking going down.
Yeah.
Like, and that BMX riding Adam, where is he? You know what I mean? Like, and who are you to this day?
You know, I still love BMX culture, still watch videos all the time, still go to events and premieres and shit like that from time to time. But I can't lie, like that shit is just not really like me anymore. Like it just, you know, I did it every day for like 20 years pretty much. Like, you know, from the age of like 12. Okay, from the age of 12 to 22, I was riding my bike every day, out filming, out doing whatever. And then from the age of 22 to 32, I was running the BMX website and the YouTube channel and everything and going out every day filming. And towards the end, we were doing BMX podcasts and stuff like that. And, you know, my wife will kind of get on my case sometimes because she'll say like, you know, I miss when you used to go out with the BMX dudes and like ride with them and everything like that. And like, you know, she when she met me, I literally rode my bike everywhere. My car was in the shop for a couple of months because my janky ass friend at the time was supposed to fix it and it took too long. But so I was riding my bike everywhere, and I do, you know, I miss that in a way because I just love riding bikes. But I kind of like force myself to do it from time to time, or like somebody will be in town and they'll say like, yo, come out riding with us on a Saturday. And I'll just go hang out in the van and go around with everybody and ride. And it definitely just doesn't give me the same feeling that it used to. Like I just being out there, it just, I mean, there are logistical concerns because obviously like a lot of the bike riding that I did throughout my life was like in the hood, like going to random rails and shit in areas that are like not not the best areas. And like it was worse in New York. God, like, you know, half the time I'm like interviewing somebody from New York and they tell me what projects they're from or whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like we used to go ride some random wall ride like in that area or whatever. But I don't know. The actual bike riding shit is, I feel like I'm ready to kind of close the door on that at this point. But as far as like what I'm interested in, I mean, the art of just doing a great interview kind of transcends everything, you know? Like I take a lot of pride in being able to do great interviews with like people from all walks of life. And as far as like the hosts on the platform, especially before those dudes left, I felt like we were really getting to the point where we had enough good hosts and stuff that we could build out multiple nights per week. And I was like comfortable just having the Tuesday show be kind of more street oriented, just because we sort of ended up having all these dudes who are like, you know, sort of legendary, like street figures in their own right. And then, you know, started trying to build up the Monday show. But there is a part of me that's kind of like, you know what, like, I'm going to minimize the ratio of dudes who are like super gangster. Not that those guys are like actively super gangster, because you got somebody like Spody who's like pushing peace and making it clear. Like I'll do a podcast with somebody from England with Families. I'll go on a Hoover podcast, whatever. Like, you know, that to a lot of people probably would have been like unthinkable for Spody Face a couple years ago, you know? But yeah, I feel like I'm kind of ready to maybe like minimize that a little bit and maybe do some stuff to try to like clean up the image of the podcast a little bit, just because I do feel like as much as it's like authentic and fun to lean into so much of the street shit, it's not always the best business wise. It definitely scares people to a certain extent. Because like that's one thing about having a podcast is like everything you do affects everything else that you'll do. Like for instance, Vlad, if you look at his channel and his most popular videos, a bunch of them are porn stars and they're old too. It's like 15 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it is. He was getting hella views from interviewing all these porn stars. And at a certain point he realized that, and even like battle rap too. Like he was doing a ton of the, oh, you said this about this guy at the battle last week and they punched you in the face. So let's talk about that. And I, as somebody who's known Vlad for a big part of that time, I know how he thinks and I've seen how he will take the things that maybe are like advantageous in the short term, but are kind of harmful to the brand in the long term and kind of like minimize that. And, you know, that was at least a little bit of the concern of like why I started Plug Talk and stuff, because at a certain point I was getting so many views interviewing porn stars, but it kind of felt like it was making the brand, like, even though it wasn't true. And even though we might interview like, you know, 5 rappers for every 1 porn star, there's a lot of fans that their perception of the brand started to be, oh, they don't even interview rappers. They just interview porn stars because that somehow like sucks up more of the oxygen in the room. So like with No Jumper, even though like it's not like the majority of the people we interview are gang members, but the ones that we do somehow like really colors that, you know. And you can go 364 days with no fights, and then there's like one scuffle that goes viral and gets on every platform. And also calling what happened to Jay Reid a scuffle is obviously massively minimizing it, but you know, that will color it much more than any of the peaceful days. So I think like in part I got to kind of just work on the ratio and just kind of try to fix some image issues a little bit.
Yeah, because it can't even be 50-50. Because when it's negative, it's going to outweigh the positive by 1,000. You know what I mean? And that's what's going to be talked about. With Lena saying she misses you going out and doing the BMX. I don't know if it's necessarily about you BMXing. Maybe she misses what you were passionate about and like the drive or whatever it is that had you moving at that time. Maybe that's what she's saying too. You know what I mean? Like, well, fuck, like.
We actually had this conversation the other day, and like she verbalized it as that she just likes a guy who's out doing something with his hands and really like doing something physical, you know?
Active.
Yeah. And like my biggest passion probably besides podcasting is poker, which to her, I know she like respects it from like an intellectual pursuit. But the reality is that like my favorite way of playing poker is Sunday, get on the computer at 9 in the morning and I'm on the fucking computer till like 9 at night, probably just playing like a shitload of different tournaments at the same time. And I think from her perspective, it's just like, she just views like sitting on the computer all day as kind of just, I don't know. Like she like when I say like, yo, I got this huge tournament I got to play. I got this free entry into this $2,000 tournament or whatever. So I got to do that on Sunday instead of like doing family stuff. Because that's always the choice. It's like Sunday, it's like family stuff or it's like
do
poker.
The thing my wife does not like.
Exactly. And that's why I like barely play pokers on Sunday anymore, which I used to do it like all the time before I had a kid. But once you have a kid, it's like you got to massively put that shit on the back burner. But if I told her like, yo, I'm going out riding with the guys on Sunday instead of doing family stuff, she would be like, oh yeah, that's
she would accept that.
She would be more accepting of that because I think to her, like, it's just, that's so real to just be outside riding bikes and just like being outside with the people and everything. And I don't know, but I guess like my thing is that I don't want to do anything with my life that I don't feel like I can be great at. And that's the thing about poker is that when I look at like the last 5 years of me playing poker, I've just seen myself become so much better. And I feel like I'm constantly learning. And I feel like I can kind of like see the blueprint where I could really be great at poker. Like I already feel like I'm like pretty damn good, but I really feel like I could take it to a different level at a certain point. And with the bike stuff, it's just like, I remember how it felt when I was 22.
Mhm.
I remember how it felt when I was 32, and it felt a lot fucking better than it felt at 42. You know, like
for sure.
your body just it's one of the most abusive things I can think of physically, because it's like an event or a sport that even if you pull the trick, you're still blasting your body downstairs. You're still like, you know, jumping on a handrail and spraining your ankle and all this shit. And it's just like, I don't know, like I like lived through a part of my life where that was everything to me. So now when I go out and ride with the guys who are still living that life, it just doesn't really feel
the same.
It just doesn't, it doesn't have the same magic. Whereas like when I was 22 riding bikes in New York City every day, like it was the most magical time in my life in a lot of ways. And I knew it at that time. Like,
you were aware in the moment that this is not,
like just being a kid from New Hampshire and like just riding bikes in New York City and getting to feel that energy of the city every fucking day and constantly running into meeting new people, meeting girls, you know, just having these insane experiences every day. It was just like, I don't know. It was so magical that, and it feels super gay to say magical about it, but it was just, it was so magical to me.
So blissful.
Yeah. That now it just doesn't, it doesn't have that same magic, and it just doesn't hit the same way. And I just also feel like in general with my life going forward is like, I don't want to base my life around doing anything physical as like the thing I'm trying to excel at, because I don't feel like I'm you saw the fight, I'm sure. Like I'm not like a talented athlete. Like that's not.
But that doesn't mean that that's the only capacity you could be involved in it though. You know what I mean?
True.
Like you can still be, if you like it, if you like the people that bike ride and you want to, you know, it's still a big fucking market. It's like,
oh, but don't even get me started on the market, man.
Is it crazy?
Oh, it's fucking so bad. That's a big.
It's bad.
That's a little bit of a part of it. Is like when I look at 2007 versus like right now, it's like, or when I got into it in the late 90s, it's like it was so much bigger.
Damn.
BMX has been cannibalized by skating, scootering, wheelie bikes, mountain bikes, motocross, like so many of these things.
Died out.
Yeah.
It might have died.
Yeah. And I don't want to say died, because there's still people who ride and do amazing tricks. And like every day I like follow a new kid on Instagram. That's some kid from Lithuania who's doing tricks that I've never seen before. But the scene versus when I was a kid is like probably how like a lot of dudes who lived through hip hop in the 80s or the 90s feel about hip hop today.
Dude, and was that the same time that Kids came out? The movie Kids? Like, did you ever see that movie Kids?
Kids blew my mind into a million pieces in like 96 or 97 or whenever I saw that. And that's what made me feel like I have to move to New York,
that's
because
what
this
it's
is
giving me. Like that's the what I'm thinking about as you're explaining, going through, I immediately went to Kids.
That movie and the littlest things about it. Like I remember they're just pissing on the street.
Yeah.
And I'm from the fucking suburbs and I'm just seeing them in the middle of the city pissing on the street. Like you could do that? Not to mention like Washington Square Park, all these dudes sitting around smoking weed and hanging out with girls and fucking fighting people in the park and shit like that. And I think Kids more than anything made me realize like, oh, I wasn't born in the right place.
Right.
I can't be in the suburbs. I got to be in the city, you know?
Damn. So that was a big realization for you. And that's crazy how movies or music or some shit like that can move you in a direction of your passion. Like, shit, I need to be in that element.
For real.
And when you did move and go in pursuit of whatever that was it that?
It was, but I also kind of felt like I caught the tail end of it in like 2004 when I moved there, because like the BMX scene in New York was outrageous in 2000 to 2003. I feel like was kind of the highlight. And when I moved there, it was still dope. It was still tons of kids out riding all night, every night. But it like the pros that like because I remember going there on road trips before that and like just running into all the pros who were just really outside riding every day. And it was so sick. But a lot of them kind of like fell by the wayside, because the career or the shelf life of like a pro BMX rider, especially at that time, was kind of short because there's just no money in it.
Yeah.
It's just so whack in that regard. So, but it still was dope. But then like part of the reason why I had such like a unique career trajectory was the fact that like as soon as I moved to New York, I ended up fucking up my back so bad. And
from riding?
Yeah. And it might've took like 6 months or some shit before I really got my back right. Wow. And that time period was when I started playing poker, started the BMX website, et cetera. Cause I was basically just like forced to just do my thing in the crib, you know, which if it hadn't been for that back injury, I probably would have just been outside riding with everybody, and I probably never would have had enough time sitting on the computer to really like create the stuff that kind of like took my life in the direction of where I ended up, you know?
That was your knee injury story.
Yeah.
Like we're basketball players or football players, the knee injury. Well, I
For
was
real,
doing
yeah.
this and then my knee injury took me out and this is how I went that way. Damn, that shit is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Because even kids, that dude who made that, did you, Gummo?
Harmony Korine.
Harmony Korine, Gummo.
Yeah.
And then he told his story about how he was trying to make a fight movie and he didn't realize how short fights were. And he was going to have to get in so many fights. And he realized like this is not, he was going to jail.
Yeah.
He got his leg broke by a security guard on the curb.
Really?
And it was just like, damn, this dude fucking out there.
That's crazy. He did Spring Breakers too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
And like a bunch of other movies too, I think. But yeah, that was anyone who hasn't seen Kids, and it probably won't hit the average young person the way it hit me at that time. But you gotta understand, like at that time, it was no everything. TikTok, no Instagram. I had no real way to know what life in New York City was actually like. Because, you know, like, yeah, you see it, you watch a fucking, you know, whatever it was at the time, a Wu-Tang video or a Nas video or whatever, and it's dope, but it felt like cinema. It felt like some crazy, flashy version of what New York was. And then that was like, oh no, this is what it's like to be a broke ass teenager skateboarder hanging out on the streets of New York, which blew my mind. Yeah.
So you talked about how you went into poker or in online or whatever. Do you consider yourself, I don't know if anybody really does while they're in it, do you consider yourself addicted to gambling, to poker?
I definitely like feel the addiction part from time to time when I notice myself making illogical decisions because of my desire to play poker. But I also feel like I have a very good control over it. Like people are always asking me to go to home games that typically like won't even get started till like 10 or 11 p.m. And so basically if I was going to go, I'd probably have to be out till like 4 or 5 in the morning. And, you know, I'm just really not willing to get like a couple hours sleep before I go do interviews all day, you know, or even like, you know, I'm very financially conservative with my bankroll. Like I'm not playing a fucking $10,000 tournament online, even though I see it in the lobby right there. Like I could fucking play that tournament right now. But, you know, I'm much more, I'm just like extremely aware of how good everybody is at poker at certain stakes. And it's like me playing a $100 tournament, a $200 tournament, even like a $600 tournament. Cool. I got no business playing a $10,000 tournament online.
Yeah, you can manage that. Like I can manage this. I can afford to lose the 600 and not think twice about it.
Because playing 10 tournaments in a row and bricking all of them and not getting any profit from them is normal.
Fuck.
Like way more than 10 is normal. Having a 100 or a 200 buy-in downswing is pretty standard in poker. Like if you play poker for a living, that will happen to you. And obviously, if I was playing $10,000 tournaments all the time online and I had a 100 buy-in downswing, that would be $1 million. So
what's
I'm not
appealing
really
about that? What is appealing about that?
The glory of just like, oh man, like last Sunday I played and I fucking played tournaments all day. And by the end of it, I got second in one and I got third in one and like had a couple other good deep runs and profited like 12,000 for the day. And it was just such a fucking good feeling. Oh my God, it's the best feeling to just to go into that. And at one point in the day, I look at the fucking cashier and I see that I'm down 8K for the day. And I'm just thinking like, ooh, oh man, like if I lose 8,000 for the day, you got to steel yourself for that just to, you know, feel like, okay, like it is what it is. These things happen. But then to like bring it all the way back and have like a very profitable day is, oh my God, it's just such an amazing experience. I love it. Yeah.
I could imagine the rush of getting over on it. Like, fuck, I just fucked y'all over good on me. But then I also think about all the times that they win, because I've never seen a poker movie that ended well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or that there's like times where they break even or whatever, but it's like all fucked up, like involved with certain shit.
But I mean, like Rounders is a great movie, but that was like way back in the day, and it's like showing up.
Was that Matt Damon?
Yeah.
No? Yeah.
And Leonardo DiCaprio before he was anything. Like they weren't like big stars yet at that point, and poker wasn't that big at that point. It blew up like a couple years after that because Chris Moneymaker won the World Series and online poker became really big around that time. But yeah, I mean that's the thing too, is that poker is not like, especially the online poker version of it, it's not a bunch of crazy gamblers. It's a bunch of fucking nerds who are playing an unbelievably complicated strategy game, and the people that do really well in the long run are the people who study dozens of hours a week, and every single hand that they play poorly, they or that they end up like questioning how they played it, they run it through the fucking simulator basically to figure out like if they played the hand correctly and stuff like that. Like the dudes who are the best at poker are not party animals. They're not guys who are involved in shady shit. They're just nerds. And that's probably like my biggest liability, is that I'm a little bit too much of like a real person.
A regular person with a real life.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm not necessarily like, I know some of the stuff that I would have to do to really be like a more elite poker player, which is I would have to just study a lot more and spend a lot more time doing the labor of like playing a hand and then doing the deep research to figure out if you played the hand correctly. And that I should do more of it. There's been times in my life where I did more of it, but it's just really hard for me to balance like podcasting and then playing poker and then studying poker.
Yeah, having to commit to that against like these, I don't want to call them nerds, but like these gamer kids.
They are nerds. They know they're nerds.
That all they do is study this shit. You're up against a robot, like a machine.
Yes.
But even that. So you said poker, you podcasting, and then I don't know how to segue to this in a smooth way, but like you and your wife in the industry that you guys are also in,
mm-hmm.
how did that even become a thing for you? Like, how did you even get? Because Haha Davis just had this huge,
I know, that's crazy, right?
Situation where he goes on Shannon Sharp and says that it was one of the worst days, seeing his wife getting railed and like.
I should have watched that clip. I didn't actually watch the clip to hear exactly what he said, but I did see that he had to apologize to his wife because she was mad at him for putting it out there.
I think he got arrested for domestic violence a couple days later.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he did an apology. He did like a video of her going out and him being mad about her going out, but it was like a skit. Wow. But then but him talking to Shannon Sharp about like how like fucked up for his psyche it was, like he made it in a funny, it was comedy. He was joking and laughing.
I don't know why he decided to do that, but he did a swinging thing where like him and a couple, they swapped.
So
that's what they did?
Yeah. So he went to a swinger party with his wife. And so he turns around and his wife is with somebody. And it's just like, he says he was just going diabolical on her and she was just loving it. And the whole time he was just looking like, I'll never be able to do that to her. And so that kind of thing, he had to apologize because did you even discuss with her that this is what you're going to talk about on this platform?
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, so like those dynamics are shit that I'm like asking you, like, what is that? Like,
I feel like the swinger club experience would be like a whole new thing for us to conquer that I don't know what that would be like for me because, you know, if you go into that environment, you're doing it solely for pleasure. You're doing it just for hedonism reasons. And with what me and her have done, she's probably shot with like 10 different dudes at this point. It's, you know, it's just
Did
content.
It all start with Jason? Jason Love was the first?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was just kind of like, you know, it was never, oh, I just want to fuck another dude. It was always, if I do this, it's going to make X amount of dollars. I think it ended up making like 100 times what she predicted it would make. But
really?
Yeah, it was the biggest OnlyFans scene of all time.
Really?
Yeah. And obviously the marketing just kind of did itself. Like I remember so many people hitting me up being like, you know, what clippers did you use? How much did you pay clippers to do that? I'm like, I didn't pay it. I didn't even know what a clipper was at that time.
Yeah.
You know, like that was before clipping became like something that everybody was familiar with. But yeah, I feel like it's for us, it's just so different because as much as like, you know, I enjoy doing porn. I enjoy fucking random girls on camera and shit. And I'm sure she enjoys fucking random dudes on camera or whatever. But like, it was just never about like, oh, I want to just have this crazy sexual experience. So I can't even imagine walking into a sex club and having my girl like just get swooped up by some other dude. Like that's crazy. Like me and her have talked about the idea of going to strip clubs before, but it just feels like very unrealistic because of the fact that, you know, I've heard from a lot of people that the vast majority of people who go to sex clubs and shit are not necessarily like the best looking people.
Yeah.
Or like that, you know, I know how much value she would have in that environment. And she knows too that it's just like, she's just like way too famous to be in an environment where she might just end up having sex with some random fucking dude. And I've heard people talk about crazy shit with sex clubs where, you know, a girl's like, you know, having sex with a guy and then some other dude just walks up and just puts his dick in her face. I'm not willing to be
and
like,
you don't even know who the fuck this person is.
Exactly.
Like,
and I think they have to get tested, but it's like, you know, you get tested like a few days beforehand or whatever. It's just like, I don't know. There is part of me that would like to go to that sort of thing, but probably like not with my wife. Probably rather just pull up with some hoes. Yeah.
Pull up with some plug talk. Like, let's go check this out. Because
if I was with a random girl and that was on the table of like, let's go to the fucking sex club. I actually thought about that a lot when I was younger. I never like got into a position where I would actually do it, but I always thought it sounded super fun.
So it is a level of love and compartmentalizing. Like, we can do this, but this is beyond my limit. You know what I mean? Like, this is not where I can't go this far.
Yeah.
For you guys. And like, to somebody like me and my wife, like we're so far away from that. I just want to understand, like, how do you compartmentalize that shit? You know what I mean? Like, where it's like, I can go home and I can put that away and we'll move forward.
Yeah.
Did you guys know you were there? Like, that you were at that place?
Yeah, because we did, you know, we pretty much were doing like porn, but just on iPhones at first for the entirety of our relationship, you know. So she shot with Jason in 2023. We've been together since 2016. So we were 7 years into our relationship at that point. And at that point, we'd already been doing plug talk for maybe like 2-3 years. And at a certain point, you know, you start to get like a very accurate number in your mind of like what your time is worth, you know? And for sure, it's a good use of our time for us to go shoot plug talk scenes. But when we started thinking about the whole idea of her shooting with a guy, it was kind of like, oh, so it could be like one afternoon out of your life that could literally, like, you know, from our perspective as a family, could set us up for life, you know? And it's like, we're already kind of set up for life probably at a certain point, but like, you know, just like an amount of money that was like, I guess everybody has their price. And for me, it was kind of like, it was two things. It was like just the money. And then it was the fact that obviously I'm a little bit of a glutton for going viral. And just the realization that, like, because that was one thing that was weird with Plug Talk, is like we were trying to buy ads for it. We were trying to buy ads on like the Shade Room or Hollywood Unlocked or whatever. I thought it was like an obvious ad that they would probably be down to post, which, oh, Adam and Lena started a podcast where they, you know, sleep with a different girl every week. And people didn't even want to take our money because a lot of these accounts are like really scared of posting sexual shit.
Yeah.
And then I kind of realized, like, when we started talking about the idea of her doing a scene with another guy, that they were going to post about us for free if we did that. And not just like one time. No, they were going to post about us like all day for like a couple months for free, just because of me being the person who had the gall to let my wife go do a scene with another guy. Because after that first scene, she didn't shoot another scene for like, I forget, like a year and a half, something like that.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. Okay.
We shot a couple scenes with other guys with me in it too. And then we like had like a long break. And then I was like, you know, because we have plans for the future, not to get super in depth, but like at a certain point, she's probably going to take a real step back and just really focus fully on the mom thing, you know? So I think, like, partially from my perspective, it was like, let's do this crazy viral thing, make a shitload of money off it, and then it'll kind of set us up for the next chapter.
Right. And I think the like, just not being another guy, I think being a black man added a big element to it as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the world, how the world is. And it's just like, oh, okay, gotta watch this. And then there's just, that shit is just crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
and I'm not gonna lie, like, it might seem kind of naive, but I didn't really think about that. I didn't really think.
You're more naive than what people.
Well, I didn't think that the black guy thing was going to be a big, because this is the thing.
How?
It originally wasn't going to be Jason.
Oh, okay,
it was going to be a white guy.
Oh, okay.
Who's also like super famous, and, you know, she ended up shooting with him eventually or whatever. But like, in retrospect, I just wonder like what the reaction would have been. I think it would have been big still, but it wouldn't have been as big if it was a white guy, you know?
No, I don't think it would. It was like the perfect concoction for like a fucking explosive. Well, you said the #1 OnlyFans scene. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like I think that the culture as a whole, even if they might not like talk about it, the idea of a white guy getting cucked by a black guy, and not even just that, but also just like the fear that white men have of their women getting fucked by black men. I think that's like, it might not get discussed, but that's a real thing. That's like an extremely common trope. Probably if you were to go back 200 years,
forever,
that would be the thing that would like get people paying attention more than like almost anything else. Yeah. It's just like kind of like a default insecurity that I think that the average white guy has, and then even outside of the white guys, everybody else is sort of aware of that, so they'll pay attention even if they're not some white guy who's kind of thinking about that. So yeah, we definitely kind of just preyed upon like one of the most basic tropes that you could ever imagine.
Yeah, and it's on many levels. It hit on many levels, and that's the dynamic of that is like on insecurity, right? And so there was a time where you and Spody Face were talking about, and Spody Face brought up like Mexicans not liking black people, or not liking, and him bringing up the trope about the penis and the insecurity and the judge. And you're like, no, that's not real. That's not a thing. I don't think that exists. You're saying it like that's what the average is. But then in my head, I was like, this fool can't even talk about that. You know why? Because you don't have that insecurity.
Right.
You don't have the BBC insecurity because other people are so fearful of their girl being with that they'll just drop her or whatever.
I mean, the thing that people say about porn is like very much true, that it kind of numbs you over time. So like, you know, a girl in porn will do like anal for her first time, and it's the biggest deal in the world. And then you fast forward 2 years later and she's shooting anal twice a week. You know, it's like, it just goes from like this crazy thing that, especially when you're young, like the idea of doing anal sex is like the craziest shit ever. And then, you know, you get kind of numb to it. Or like I've known girls where it was the biggest thing in the world for them to just do a scene with a guy, and then you fast forward a couple of years and they're doing a scene with 10 guys. You know, it's like porn really like kind of, man, like if you would have asked me in 2015 if I ever would have been able to have my wife doing a scene with another guy, oh my God, I would have never been able to dream of it, you know. But porn just kind of numbs you as time goes by. I do think that conversation though, like, was mostly about, if I remember correctly, it was mostly about like the idea that Spody Face basically said that like a lot of Mexican people hate black people in LA. And I was basically just like, I don't think that's true. I think you're like, okay, gangbangers are like less than 1% of the population of LA. Racist gang members, like Mexicans who really dislike black people, like most people can't even like name the gangs that have these sort of like anti-black attitudes or whatever. Like I feel like people exaggerate that. And even like Moose Man comes here from Sacramento and he's like, y'all are like very divided. Y'all like racially, like Mexicans and blacks don't get along. Up north, like everybody just gets along. And I'm like, there's a small extent to which that's true, but I feel like in LA, in reality, if we go see a rapper tomorrow, and it don't matter if it's Ralphie the Plug or Kendrick Lamar, you're gonna have a ridiculous percentage of the audience is gonna be Hispanic.
Right.
Always.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not racist. You know, because there'll be Ice Cube fans, Tupac fans listening, and they'll be calling you the N, the M with that in the background playing, or they'll love Kobe Bryant.
True.
And so that doesn't negate the fact that they can still be racist.
There's some truth to that too. Yeah, that's for sure.
But it just tripped me out because I was like, this dude, he doesn't even have that part where it's like, oh, this is a problem. You know what I mean? Like this, like, oh, I'll never look at my girl again because of this. Are you're ostracized from the family? Yeah. Or it's not there.
No, I'm a little more open-minded. Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, I've always kind of sexually just been like a lot more outgoing. I remember like I had this scenario that took place back in the day where there was this BMX award show, right? And this is probably 2013. And there was this girl who was hitting me up on Twitter trying to hang out, like being very overt about wanting to fuck. And she looked kind of beat, so I was like not responding to her after a certain point. And I'm at the award show, which is basically just like a big bar scenario with like maybe like 1,000 people there or some shit. And the girl walks in and just looks at me, and she's got a hot ass friend with her. And we end up going back to the hotel and snorting Xans and fucking all night. And Xanax really takes away your inhibitions, because I start like filming everything, and then I put it all on Snapchat, and I had people that I barely even knew hitting me up, just being like, bro, like, what the fuck? I saw this girl sucking your dick on Snapchat. Like, you are crazy. Like, why would
they let you do that?
Back in the day, Snapchat was like so much harder to get in trouble on, I think.
Damn.
But I was being kind of low key about it. Like, I don't know that I like necessarily like showed my whole dick, but like I was showing girls like basically like in their underwear, like bent over the table, snorting drugs and damn near fucking and all this kind of shit.
Going crazy. And it was on Snapchat.
And I loved it. Like, I loved the way that people were reacting to it. And
was
like,
that the start?
that wasn't like the start of like me doing porn, but in retrospect, I wish that I had realized at that moment. But at that time, porn was still just porn. When I met Lena, the night I met her, she said, do you think I should start an OnlyFans? At the time, it was private Snapchat. It was basically OnlyFans. And I'm like, how's it work? She's like, oh, they'll pay $20 a month and they can like, you know, see like little naked pictures of me and shit on Snapchat or on OnlyFans or whatever. And I'm looking at her like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, that's stupid as fuck. Like, who the hell is going to pay $20 a month when there's all these porn sites where you can pay $20 a month and get to watch like thousands of videos? And she's like, I don't know. Like, I've got so many people asking me to start one, blah, blah, blah. And I told her like, shit, if you could make even a couple grand a month, that would be sick as fuck. That would be amazing. And she started it and she made 30K in the first week. And that was like,
on Snapchat, the first week made 30K.
Yeah.
What?
It was like, it was basically OnlyFans. Back then, you used to have to like hire a company that would like help you run your Snapchat.
Yeah.
It's really convoluted compared to OnlyFans. But yeah, that was when I kind of realized like, oh, and I wish at that moment that I had realized this is the future of porn, because it took me a few years to really like lean into it and start plug talk and stuff like that. But you know, if I for sure would have just been a porn dude, like a porn star, like a guy with the OnlyFans, if I had grown up in a slightly different era.
Yeah.
But that didn't really become like a thing until like quite a bit later, you know?
Damn. So that 30K that week was like, oh yeah.
She quit her job.
This is different. This is okay.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, yeah, if you make a couple thousand.
Yeah.
And she did. What was that conversation? What was like, oh yeah, what fuck this other shit?
That was when we were just kind of like knowing each other, like hanging out. We weren't like dating or anything, but I was just amazed, like 30K in a week, or like, I couldn't wrap my head around it. Like, that's the craziest. I'm like killing myself on YouTube at that point, and No Jumper's like really hot. And I mean, I probably wasn't even making 10 grand a month.
Unfathomable.
Yeah.
30K a month.
Blew my mind.
That's a trip. So really, you guys are in the position, like, you don't even have to do the things that you do. Like, you guys are pretty much set up. So why do you do the things that you do?
Fun.
Jason Love. Why did you fight Jason Love?
Oh,
what was that about? Like, why would you even fight that dude?
Primary thing was just money. They just
But you don't need it.
Yeah, but I mean,
more money is more money.
Okay, this is my thing. I think a lot of people people that we know, people from the streets especially, if they had like 100 grand, they're going to spend 100 grand. They're going to blast through that shit, and they're going to like all of a sudden have like 5 grand left and be like, oh shit, I guess I better start saving, you know? For me, I'm the kind of person where like, I'm just not like financially secure, even though I actually am financially secure. Like, I just don't view it like that. Like, to me, they called me on the phone, they told me an amount of money to fight Jason Love, and you know, it was like multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then I negotiated it to be even more. And I'm just like, you know, like, to me, I was just like, it's going to be viral. I don't give a fuck. I'm just not a boxer. I don't care. I don't judge myself as a boxer. Like, I'm not going to get embarrassed if I get brutally beaten. I actually thought it would probably go worse than it did. You know, I thought I was going to like really get knocked out. Like, given that didn't happen, it actually kind of felt like a W. But, I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it. And it was like, even just as a networking thing, like Remo was saying something to me that reminded me of that the other day. Is like, think about all the people you connected with, and, you know, how many, the Adrian Broner thing, and your relationship with Finesse 2 times, and the fact that you have been doing Charleston White interviews and all that. Like, all that shit came from the fact that you did that Jason Love fight. So, and all I had to do was kind of get punched in the head a couple times. Like,
just not give a fuck.
Yeah, I just didn't even care. Like, and even like, I'm really, I haven't even said this anywhere, but like, they hit me up last night asking me if I wanted to fight somebody again. And it was
And you said yes.
Well, there's
So you're going to?
I would have said yes,
Oh,
but the
shit.
person weighs like 50 pounds less than me.
So what?
Well, you can't, like, weight classes, you know?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
like, so
you would have to lose weight or what?
yeah, so like basically, like, and I actually really want to do it because the dude that they're talking about is like, you know, I was nervous to fight Jason Love. I'm not nervous to fight this guy. This is whatever. Like, I might lose, but I don't care. But like, it's not somebody I'm like worried about fighting at all.
Right. But the numbers.
But the number was great, and I'm like, oh shit, like wow. Because if I had actually grinded to lose weight, because after I fucking lost against Jason Love, I did say like I'm gonna lose all this weight so that next time if I ever do this again, I won't have to fight at 240 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you have to get, I think, below 210 to fight as a non-heavyweight. And so, like, you know, obviously I shouldn't be 240. Like I could easily lose like 40 pounds. So, you know, I just gotta like if I had started losing weight after the Jason Love thing, I would be perfectly ready to fight this guy now. And
how soon is it?
They asked me like, how much weight you think you could lose in a month? And I'm like, nah, dude.
That's
like,
hell.
If I lost 20 pounds in a month, that would be like the craziest thing I'd ever done. So I'm not gonna put myself through that for like anything. That would be just a nightmare,
that's hell.
you know? Yeah. And then also trying to like train boxing also, like on top of maybe if it was just losing the weight, I could lose like an outrageous amount of weight in a couple of months. But
dude, that shit would go crazy on IRL. Like kick like your own shit, like, oh, Adam getting ready. Damn.
yeah.
And they hit you up last night,
yeah.
but you're not doing it.
I like literally can't because I just like I would never be able to get.
So who the fuck is it if you're not fighting them?
I just don't even want to say because it might
Okay.
still happen. But also, it's not a black guy and it's not somebody in hip hop culture. So people, from my perspective, people would be massively less interested in seeing this fight.
But they're interested.
They want to make it happen.
They want to make it happen. Is this the Aiden Ross thing? Damn. Holy fuck. Oh, now I'm curious about this shit.
Yeah.
And when is this next? When is Aiden Ross's next?
I think they have one coming up in New York.
Okay.
I don't know exactly when, but they were like, how much weight could you lose in a month? So I assume it's probably in like a month or so. Wow. But they always trying to do shit last minute. Like they had a porn girl that they wanted Lena to fight, but they were trying to do it in like 3 weeks.
They want Lena to fight?
Yeah.
What did Lena say? Was she with the business?
I was pushing her so hard to do it. I'm telling her, I'm like, same logic as me. Like,
oh shit.
You're not like, if you lose, no one cares. You get paid. It's amazing advertising for your OnlyFans. You might make more from OnlyFans than what they're going to pay you. You know, the girl, she's someone she's friends with. So it's not like it's like real, whatever. It's like, you know, I really was pushing her to do it. She's like, what if I get my nose broken? What if I get my face broken? I'm like, these things are like so unlikely. Like, you're probably not going to break your nose. If you do, I'm going to feel really, 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 really bad. But you can get that shit fixed. Yeah, get it fixed.
Kim Kardashian did it and regretted it, I think.
She fought?
I think it was Kim Kardashian, and she got her ass whooped.
Did she?
She got fucked up.
I gotta look that up.
Yes, it was bad. Like she was crying in the corner. So Lena, she might have seen that before.
Maybe.
Yeah, she got fucked up.
Lena is just so like anti-violence in general. She never hit anybody in her whole life.
Yeah. What?
Never even hit one person one time. The closest she did was we were doing like a skit with Dean the Great, and she like actually got pissed at him and like whacked him across the face or something. That was the most that she'd ever incurred violence upon anybody ever.
God, dog.
Imagine that. Imagine you go through your whole life and you've never been hit and you never hit someone.
What a blessing.
Right? Isn't that amazing?
Like, what a blessing. What a beautiful life to not have to have gotten to a place where you needed to do that.
But I think we both have the same assumption, which is that like, if you show me like a guy in his 30s who's never been punched in the face, there's probably something he missed out on in life, you know?
Well, there's a couple things that you have to do or have to be to be a man. You know what I mean? You have to have had your heart break a heart. You know what I mean? Like getting punched in the face is one of them. Yeah. And you have to have had punched somebody in the face.
Yeah. Like that teaches you an important lesson about life, you know? Like, oh, life hurts.
Yeah,
you know?
You might move a little differently with a little bit more caution.
Yeah.
I had a question about like the your co-hosts and people that you co-host with and podcast with, and like the friendship level of the things, because I saw a clip that had just recently popped up with the AD situation and how like open and transparent you were about being sorry about the situation or whatever. Was that was a real friendship? That was a real friendship there, Trell, AD?
I felt like it was a real friendship, you know, for sure. I wouldn't have like asked them to be in my wedding or anything if it wasn't, but I guess it was something different to them, you know?
Is that why that is so different? Because it was actually a real relationship?
Yeah, more than like the Munchie and Spody Face thing, where it's like I never hung out with Munchie or Spody Face outside of work, really.
Yeah.
You know, like pretty much like all the communication I've ever had with those guys was like on the podcast slash in the group chat or whatever, you know. So definitely felt different. Yeah, that was you know, that whole experience was painful on a variety of levels, but having people just like turn their back on me after like, you know, because people don't realize this, but like a week before they left, AD was still telling me like, I'll never turn my back on you, I'll never disrespect you, and I'll never do anything to like smut your name out. Even if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna like really show you love and always acknowledge that, you know, I'm into this content shit because of you or whatever. And, you know, I guess maybe he meant it at the time, but he definitely didn't live up to it, which that was tough to go through. Yeah.
I bet. And it's like, now that I'm looking at it, like from like the perspective, like the human element of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like losing a friend or having friends and then it going away, but also it being posterized on the internet and having to deal with that and
weaponized for content, because like that was like all their content was for a while there. It was like, ooh, what's like every little thing that we could say about this guy, like to get more views or whatever, because at a certain point you get audience captured where your audience just wants to hear about one thing, and you realize that, oh, I could have 3,000 viewers or I could have 6,000 viewers, and all I have to do is talk about this guy. And, you know, I'll maintain the same way I did then, that it's like I never did anything to them to warrant that or deserve that. And so I'm not gonna lie, I feel like they kind of, when you look at their numbers on their shit, they kind of got their karma and everything. But I mean, there was sometimes I think they forget, because like people act like it's like so unwarranted and cruel for me to say certain things to Heather or Smack or whatever. And it's like, oh, y'all have short memories, because they were going hard on me, and not just like saying like, oh, he did this and this is my opinion about it. No, we're talking about like making up shit, completely making shit up, and then running an hour of content reacting to it, you know? And that's it's probably why I'm still kind of, you know, aggravated about them to a certain extent.
I think you guys are all aggravated by it because it's a real, like, I think what people don't realize is that as a viewer or somebody that's consuming the content, the realness of it. You know what I mean? Like the real situation, the real emotions that are in this shit. It's like, these are real people that have real emotions. AD he says he has a grandma's heart. Like he wears his heart on his shoulder, on his sleeve. You know what I mean? And T-Rail being upset, you being upset. It's an unfortunate event, and maybe time heals all, maybe it doesn't. But that shit, I've been just looking at it like, damn, that shit is crazy. I never looked at it from the real element of it. Just like as creator, like, ah, fuck this, fuck that, whatever. But damn, that was a real situation. Did that change? Are you guarded now because of that shit?
Yeah, to a certain extent, for sure. I'm just like, it's harder for someone to get close to me, but you know, ultimately it's like, I feel like, okay, here's the thing is like, as much as it might seem like a real exception to the rule or something really crazy, it's like, I feel like I've seen this with like the majority of people who do the kind of stuff that I do. Like, you know, FaZe Banks was doing FaZe Clan for all these years, and it kind of exploded. They ended up having to like sell it to fucking investors or whatever. And like just recently, or like last year or whatever, they put together a big ass squad of Lacey and Blackboy Max and all these different dudes. And they built up a big ass squad with FaZe, and they were paying for the mansion that they were all filming in. They were paying for the Clippers. They were paying for a lot of crazy shit just to like revitalize FaZe. And then basically at a certain point, FaZe's CEO said like, listen, like we're going to have to start taking a percentage of you guys' revenue now that we've gotten to the point of having built you guys up so big. We got to start taking a percentage so that we could pay for the mansion and the Clippers and the whatever. And they all just left. All at once, like 5, 6 of them, however many dudes.
Like, fuck that.
They all just left. And I mean, that's operating on a way bigger scale, because God, I wish I had the money to like you know, paying for mansions for these dudes to shoot content out of and shit like that. But, you know, FaZe Banks right there kind of dealt with the same exact thing that I dealt with, which is that like you build up a personality, they get to the point where they feel like they don't need you anymore. And then all of a sudden they're like itching for a reason to dip out on you, you know? Same exact thing with Joe Budden and Rory and Mal. Like they had like a real friendship. They were all real friends before the podcast. And then, and I'm not here to like defend everything that Joe did, because I do kind of take Rory and Mal's word for it when they say that Joe did some shitty stuff business wise or whatever. But, you know, they got to a point where they kind of decided to just take their ball and go home. And, you know, that's kind of like just like a very realistic thing. If you're doing sort of like talent management is like the technical name for, I guess, like what you would sort of call no jumper. So, you know, as I have a little bit of perspective on it, I don't really consider like what happened with me and them all that unique. But
no, it's not.
But the funny thing about it is just that their minds, like their idea of what was possible as podcasters were a lot bigger, because they had kind of seen throughout COVID that No Jumper was doing really, really, really well. They chose to leave at the moment where, from my perspective, I'm watching the numbers, I'm seeing the live viewers, I'm noticing everything kind of on a decline. And that's when they decided to leave.
Yeah.
And I don't think they necessarily realized like, oh no, it's not done declining. It's going to keep declining. Like it's like, you know, the amount of interest that there was in podcasting during during COVID or whatever. Like I really feel like if you do a podcast that gets 100,000 views a month or a week right now, that's kind of equivalent to like 300,000 views in 2021.
Yeah.
You know, like you should feel like you're kind of at the same place in the game, because so many of the big podcasts just don't really do anywhere near the numbers that they used to do at this point, just because COVID had everybody gassed up. So
there's been a significant drop for everybody.
Yeah.
Like it's just a part of the market or whatnot.
More competition. There's just more options. So many people are just spending time watching short form content that they don't even feel the need to watch a podcast.
What about oversaturation? Do you think it's oversaturated?
Oh yeah, massively. Yeah.
And so in oversaturated content, how do you stand out?
Yeah, that's what
you have to go to some crazy level of shit. Damn.
Yeah. I mean, from our perspective, at a certain point, it kind of became, you know, No Jumper was lit when it was just me in 2016, 2017, 2018, really. And then they, you know, like my little network of friends that were around and everything like that, but that wasn't like really that big a part of it. Then you get to that sort of COVID era. No Jumper becomes, oh, this is a bunch of dudes who are all hanging out on camera and these consistent weekly podcasts. And then that kept people excited and kind of like been on that sense and like still doing interviews, but then also just having like a, you know, a big crew of people or whatever. But yeah, like what is the thing that can kind of take it to the next level? Because like at that time too, in COVID, it's like you're making money and then you just keep the money. Now a lot of the biggest content creators, like somebody like Neon, is like, granted, he's like got Kick paying the bill now, but he's making money, and then a huge percentage of that money is going into paying the Clippers, you know, just to get more people watching. And like that's been kind of insane to see, is that there's like big content creators who are kind of like working for free because they're spending so much money on Clippers, that they're working for free with the idea in mind that like maybe as time goes by, they'll get more popular to the point where the money will like outweigh how much they're spending on the Clippers. When did this come into play?
Yeah.
When I started doing YouTube, I was thinking like, oh, you make $1,000, you get $1,000. Now it's like make $1,000 and you spend like 800 of it on Clippers and 100 of it on fake viewers, and then you keep the last 10%.
Yeah, I gotta start doing that with my.
Sometimes I feel like I should do it, but it's also like our viral moments go viral regardless, you know?
Yeah.
I interviewed 50 Cent's baby mama, boom, it's everywhere. I interviewed Sauce Walker's baby mama the same week, boom, it's everywhere. Like, you know, we have a big argument or a fight on the pod. Or okay, J Hood and Spotifyface challenging each other to go outside. I could have been paying, you know, people to clip that on Twitter, and way more people would be seeing it. And that's the kind of clip that will go viral easily. But like, am I really going to spend thousands of dollars to make this clip go more viral just to, like, I feel like everybody already knows about my shit. Why would I pay for that?
Yeah, but then also it's like almost a form of like exploiting the situation too. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit of exploitation to that. Like, oh shit, let me put out a bad moment of them.
Yeah.
And
it makes us look kind of violent and janky.
Yeah.
But then also that's weird because if you really pay for clippers, like 99% of the fans don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
like they have no idea. Like, why would they know? Like they just, now people are starting to get a little bit more sophisticated where they know. But that's the kind of weird thing about the whole Clipper world is that most people don't really get it. They just think, oh, this guy's super viral.
Right.
Oh, this guy, last month, this guy fell off and now I see him everywhere, every minute of the day. I've been like this too, where, and then you go to like interview the person or whatever, or you like kind of peek beneath the hood and you're like, damn, the YouTube numbers don't really match up to the amount that they're getting clipped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the trick. Because even the Dean and AB thing, right? Like, you know, at the top of your YouTube is like live. You can watch a live. It has these. Adrian Broner's name was up there.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this motherfucker is so popping right now. Or his name is being searched so much. He was up there in the. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, but even like, what about like Flocko, the lane that Flocko has paid for himself with the. And I'm telling you, he's fucking great at what he's doing, dude. Like, I mean, like, really and he did some shit that was, I think it was Chud or whatever just recently. It was funny as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, he's in his bag and he's pumping out content. That's also.
And when I look back, really, honestly, it was after I first got canceled in like 2018 where I started to think like, yo, interviewing, like I'm going to keep doing it, but it's not going to be everything. You know, it's just not like, I can't like 100% bank on interviewing always being the thing. So I really made it my goal on my Adam22 channel back then to do like a daily news video.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look back on it now, I kind of wish that I hadn't quit doing it because I was getting like a couple 100,000 views per episode. And it was just me sort of like reporting on a bunch of different news topics every day and shit like that. And it was a cool formula. And like Flocko basically like has taken that and he's just doing like the modern version of it. And a lot of people like 1090 Jake or Trapler Ross or whatever are sort of doing that daily news update video, you know? And sometimes I do think like, damn, like I should put my time into that. Like, especially when I don't have that many interviews for a week or like I have a whole Wednesday off and my brain just starts going nuts. And I'm like, I should make videos talking about this topic and this topic and this topic. But man, podcasting is like so easy in comparison. And we already have our like built-in fan base for that. And the thing that I think that people don't see with Flocko is like, it's hard to have a normal life doing what he's doing because you are just in the crib 4 or 5 videos a day, all day, just hammering shit out. And I respect it so much. But sometimes when I talk to those dudes and I realize how much research and how much bullshit that they're dealing with and that they look at me like, bro, you get to just chill and interview somebody for 2 hours and you get this many views or whatever. Like, you know, they're like, you should not envy me. Because I envy you.
Right. Because of what you built.
And because it's just, podcasting, I take it for granted that it's kind of easy in comparison to like, sometimes I'm just like astounded when I watch a Flocko video and I'm like, where did you find all this information? Like, how the fuck did you piece all this shit together? And it's not like, it'd be one thing for me to piece it together because I already have like videos like yours to rely on. Yeah. But like, he's got to be deep in Twitter and the Reddit and all these different fan pages and all kinds of shit to like be able to find that sort of stuff before everybody else. You know?
Right. He's up to date. Yeah. On all that shit, but the skill that I would say that you have that a lot of people may not give credit for is, okay, how did you find Flocko? Not yet, don't tell me yet. I still have Flocko, and this is not I'm not shitting on Flocko, I'm not bagging on him, but fat, stuttering, not the most attractive or whatever, not like the geared up guy or whatever. How do you see that as an investment? Like, oh shit, I need to bring this dude.
Right.
That's, to me, is a skill. Like, you saw that guy, and I'm not talking about people that stutter or fat people, but it's just like, how did you see that in that?
So I actually, just as you said that, I kind of had a realization, which is that I made the same mistake with Flocko that I made with my wife, which is when I met my wife, one of the things I told her is I was like, look, I could turn you into a superstar on YouTube. I'm like, we're going to make YouTube videos of you just talking about different topics and you can blow up off of it. And I was kind of right because she was doing really, really good views on YouTube, especially at first back then. But what I should have said was, I'm going to be your OnlyFans manager.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take my 20%. Yeah. Because she probably never made 10 grand in a month on YouTube. Like, it was just.
What was she doing?
talking about whatever, talking about her life, making little vlogs about her life, talking about different topics or whatever. And she was like super nervous to do it at first. But, you know, I saw her and I knew she had potential, but I signed her for the wrong thing. I did the same thing with Flocko, where he sent me a DM and he said, because he had paid for like a networking course where they basically like gave you advice and suggestions on how you could, you know, start working with people that you respect or aim to work with or whatever. And so he sent me a DM and I read the DM and it was just kind of convincing of being like, hey, I'm a up and coming YouTuber. I do this, this, and this. And I went and watched one of his videos and it was kind of the same thing that he's doing now, except it was faceless and he was just talking about, I forget, some random street beef or some shit. And I just was like, damn, this guy's kind of good. Like, he's good at this shit. Like, I want to bring him out here and get to meet him and shit. So I flew him out, thought he was cool, saw his potential. In retrospect, instead of trying to turn him into a podcaster, I should have just been like, listen, what you're doing with these news style videos, I want you to bring that to No Jumper and like interject our community into it too. So maybe like, you know, in retrospect, this is what I would have done. Is said like, you make the video and then like I'll commentate on it and we'll have AD commentate on it and we'll like make these videos that are sort of like No Jumper branded, but are like embracing the fact that we have like a team and you could do the research and shit like that. Instead, I fucking flew him out, thought he was cool, liked him as a person, but then like as a podcaster, I don't think that's a strong suit. You know, the stutter obviously is part of it, but it was like pretty quickly when he moved out, we just all realized how crazy he was.
What do you mean? Wait.
He there was like a stream on AD's shit actually when he first moved out where they sort of realized that he had like a girlfriend that he had sent her like 50 grand and they hadn't had sex yet.
Oh, fuck.
And everybody, I don't think I was on that stream. Maybe I was on the stream. I forget. But like that just blew our fucking minds.
Jaw dropping like, wait, what?
Yeah. We're like, oh, this is a simp in real life. And I think things didn't work out that well. With that girl.
They did. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was just like that realization and like so many other little things at that time were just like, yo, this is like one of the craziest dudes I've ever met in my whole life. And it was dope. But I still, looking back on it, I just kind of wish that I had like, you know, I wish I had like signed him for the other thing, or I'd like kind of embraced what he had already been doing. But also I think he probably would have got sick of, or he probably would have wanted to just like focus on his own channel as time went by, because that's one thing with Flocko is that I don't think he's like physically capable of really like working for somebody else. Like maybe he could be on like a consistent podcast or whatever, sure. But I don't think that like as far as what he does with YouTube, he's so focused on it that I don't think he could like split his time between doing that and then doing something for some other company.
Right. Like maybe parceling it out, like, okay, I still do this, but I'll do this over here, like independent contractor.
Maybe, but
did you know he had a stutter? What happened when you found out he had a stutter? Were you like, oh fuck?
I feel like I found out when he first like got on the podcast, and that definitely was like, oh shit. Because it was the same thing then as it is now, which is that he's like able to not stutter when he's by himself in his house.
Yeah.
But then as soon as he's on a podcast, and like you and I both know that if somebody's saying something contradictory to you and you're trying to like crank out the words as fast as possible, I think his brain sort of like overloads at a certain point. That's where the
disability, like the stutter comes in.
Yeah.
And that's funny because that's not funny. I just say that, but
sometimes it's really funny. There's no denying sometimes. I empathize with him, but sometimes, yeah, it's a little over the top.
Oh shit. And I was just imagining like because I know that was not a selling point when you were talking to him on the phone or when he was sending you videos. So it had to happen in real life. The stutter.
Yeah. I honestly can't remember the exact time that I realized, but definitely for sure. Like I know he was doing like speech classes at one point, which if I were him, I would probably do more of that just because I feel like that's probably like the biggest thing that holds him back. But also like in the clips I see of him and Trell on their show, he doesn't do it that much there, huh? But that's like him comfortable in his house. Too,
and I don't think he's being like super challenged. It's not like some aggressive as me versus you, like my point versus your point. It's like more of a ease
got issues getting his own thoughts out. Like he'll just ramble and fake laugh his way for a few minutes at a time. That gives Flocko some time to think about what you want to say.
Was the Sharky thing for real? Did you really offer Sharky a position?
So, okay, I just hit him up because Sharky had been talking to me about what he should do with Back on Fig and his own content and everything like that.
He was talking to you.
Yeah, like we had just had conversations after the podcast where he was just talking to me about it. And I asked him, I'm like, so is T-Rail paying you? And he's like, nah. And I was kind of like, you should be getting paid for that. You know, like, I see you like really grinding out content with him and everything like that. Like, if I were you, I would expect to be getting paid like something. And I just kind of told him, I'm like, listen, like, I think you're talented. Like, I actually think that you're really bringing something to the table. So, you know, I basically just said,
he's really good.
Yeah. And I didn't like offer him something. I just said, I think at some point you're going to realize that nothing that T-Rail does has ever or will ever prosper. And
I won't say that.
Okay, well, but I told him, and I'm like, once you have that realization, which I think like you will, 100%, just keep me in mind because I will give you a job. Like, and I think that there's some dope shit that we could do together. And I think you're more talented than just being like a permanent unpaid intern. And he was super into it and was like messaging me like, I think he'll probably like say that he was just trying to get information for T-Rail or whatever, but he was like really like hitting me up. And I think I didn't respond fast enough because I was going back and forth with him a little bit, but then he really wanted to like meet up and discuss it. And I didn't get back to him quick enough. And that's when I think he decided to tell T-Rail, probably because he was afraid that he was going to get like exposed. And honestly, I even hit him up after the shit got put out there and he was still kind of asking me like, yo, so if I was to work for you, like how much would you think that I could start at, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, I was just planting the seed and then I think he got nervous and ended up telling T-Rail, but ultimately like everybody's going to get sick of working for free, right?
Right. But we don't know if he's working for free.
Well, that's what he told me.
Maybe not now. Like, I don't know the money thing of it or anything like that, but to look at what T-Rail, Smack, what they're doing on Back on Fig and like what the energy that's building. I know you bag and you say things like that or whatever because that's what y'all do. But it's good. Like if they keep at the pace that they're doing, I feel like anybody, you be consistent at something, you're going to grow, you're going to fall into something and it's going to be successful.
But I think they have like kind of the opposite problem where like when you're coming up on YouTube, you just feel like, and Flocko is a good example of this, is that every time you make a video, it's like you're jumping on the trampoline. And every time you jump up on that trampoline, somebody from the house over on the other side of the block, they might be like, look at that motherfucker. He jumping on the trampoline. Like, that's cool, you know?
Yeah.
And every time you jump up, you just get a little bit more. And Flocko has that where like, he tells me about how if he makes a video about me or about no jumper shit, he doesn't get like more subscribers. He'll get some money, but he don't get like new subscribers. But then if he makes a video about like, I'm sure the Chud thing has probably got him like tens of thousands of subscribers by becoming someone that people feel like they can rely on for that. And that's the difference between them is that it's like, it feels like the more content they make, the less views they get because the more lazy content, I guess, specifically, you know, that they make, it feels like less and less people watch because, you know, I didn't really see it, but I know that yesterday they were talking about me on Shame on You, right? Let's see how that one did. Okay, so
about the live?
Yeah, they were like clowning me or whatever. That episode has 31,000 views after 24 hours. And they have like a lot of other episodes that are like similarly like just shockingly low view counts, you know, like even 2 weeks ago, 35K, 3 weeks ago, 25K. Like to me personally, like as someone who saw them leave No Jumper and like do 500,000 on their first episode and stuff, I mean, they're doing like 5% of what they were doing when they first left. And I think that it's just like, there's something different going on there. It's not like you're a content creator and you keep working and you keep getting new fans. It's like, no, you're a content creator and you're working, but then you keep losing fans because every time you put out boring, low effort, low energy content, more and more of the devoted audience that you had is just kind of fleeing the building. And so like the same Tuesday show that they're kind of clowning which admittedly is at a low point. Like, you know, we've definitely had like a hit to the views, but I think it's at 80,000 in the last 48 hours. So it's like our lowest moment is still like, you know, miles apart from like realistically some of the best content that they've had to talk about in a long time, which is like us taking an L. So they're not just going to like work their asses off and get out of the hole that they've dug themselves in. They have to figure out something else. And I see Trell honestly like trying, because he makes like Flocko style videos on his channel where he just sits there and
you're aware of it.
I'm aware of it because
you're watching.
But I'm aware of it because the only ones that do good are about me. It's true.
Bullshit.
No, that's a
bullshit.
fact. You want me to tell you? Because I was seeing this the other day that like he made a video about my divorce, quote unquote, which was not a divorce. And I think it had 70K.
Okay.
Maybe a little less, maybe like 50 or 60 or whatever. But then like,
but that is hot news. That is hot information. It's hot
100%. But then like anytime he steps outside of the realm of making videos about like, you know, no jumper, it just leaves a lot to be desired. Like for instance, you know, I gotta like scroll back a little bit to find this or whatever, but like, you know, shit.
But how unfair is
okay, Jay-Z is on a warpath, diss Drake, Ye, Nicki, and Dame Dash. And that's like a Flocko style video where Trell is just sitting in front of his computer, 3K.
Yeah, it's gonna get bigger. It's gonna get like if he keeps.
I think it's going in the other direction. Though.
It's gonna like you have to be aware of what you're doing. And but how unfair though is like, oh, you can't talk about Adam or no jumper when those two things right are synonymous.
But
with each other.
The dissonance,
it's like the biggest on the West Coast. You got to talk about like I would have benefited greatly if I'd have been a reaction channel to no jumper, but I refuse.
The dissonance is that if I make a video about him, it's not doing anything.
Yeah, because people are tired of that, this and this, right? Like you're punching.
As long as I'm the one up there and he's the one down there, I appreciate your narrative here. But
no, don't do that. Don't do that. No, but what I'm saying is like subscriber wise, you're here, you've established, you're gonna have more numbers, you're gonna have more support. But if you put the ratio of the 80,000 views on Tuesday versus the 5 million subscribers.
But the thing
you
about,
know what I mean? Like that's less than 1%.
But the idea that like No Jumper has this like huge advantage because of the subscribers to me is crazy because like Trell and AD and them obviously have had access to our entire audience for the entirety of the time that they've been on No Jumper. Like when you see 5 million subscribers, we all know what that is. That is XXXTentacion fans, Lil Pump fans, Juice WRLD fans. We have music videos that I've posted that when I look in the back end, we gained 20,000 subscribers from that music video.
Yeah.
How many of those people ever even watch one podcast? You know, like, realistically, and that's mostly like back in the day, or even like
that's your email list.
I mean, I uploaded a fucking Bobby Shmurda short that got 5 million views, and I think it got like 8,000 subscribers. You know, so it's like we've just had all these like little things over the years that equal out to subscribers, but how much is that really worth? I mean, my opinion and the opinion of like most people who really know about YouTube is that subscribers are kind of like massively overrated as a metric, you know, because like YouTube saw how it was that channels with tons of subscribers were getting tons of views. And then they basically like corrected their algorithm to make it so that, you know, the guy who came out and made a video exposing Mr. Beast for being such a terrible boss, he had 0 subscribers and he got like 10 million views or 20 million views on that video, you know?
Yeah.
Like if someone makes something really great, it just doesn't really matter if you have a lot of subscribers. Now, granted, it's nice, you know, like something like when I interviewed CripMac when he was fresh out a few months ago and that got like 1 million views or whatever. It's like, for sure, when it's something that's that viral, it's easier for the algorithm to recognize that it's viral when you have a big subscriber base that's getting exposed to it right away. But I mean, the whole subscriber thing is like, you know, I just like,
it's overrated. It's not, it's not really reality. Like this is what happened over time.
You know, if me and Joe Rogan do the same exact interview and we both post it, and I forget how many subscribers he has, but it might be like 20 million or something like that, which sounds crazy because obviously Joe Rogan's bigger than like 4 times of a No Jumper, you know, but I just think that even right there, like we're probably, if we do the same exact interview, we'll probably get like pretty close to the same views regardless of the difference in subscribers, you know. And I'm describing like, you know, a breaking news style interview.
Yeah.
Obviously he has more of a built-in foundation of viewers and everything like that, but I don't think the subscriber thing is as much of an advantage. And really a lot of people are going in the opposite direction. Like my YouTube channel, which has like 1 million subscribers, which I haven't really used in years. If I like were to start a channel where I just did reactions or like some different type of content, I would be pretty tempted to just start a brand new channel.
Yeah.
Because I don't really think that like the 1 million subscribers built in is advantageous. If anything, I think it's kind of a liability.
Why? Because of the numbers pinned up against each other, like to YouTube, like, oh, okay, this is the only this percentage of his people are watching this video. And
exactly. If you like, you know, Trapple Ross has started like a bunch of new channels and stuff as opposed to just uploading stuff to his main channel. I think that like, because YouTube, like when you upload something, it basically like the percentage of the people who see it, like the percentage of the first 1,000 people who see it that click on it, that's like the first data point that YouTube has to use. And so if I post something that is something new and different on a channel with 1 million subscribers, the first 1,000 people who see it might have no interest in it and not be interested in it at all. Whereas if I start a brand new channel and I upload that same exact piece of content and then I just like advertise it on my Instagram story and maybe like post it on the community tab on YouTube or whatever, probably gonna have like a way higher percentage of people that are gonna engage with that content. And then therefore that channel or that content, I think will probably have like much more of a fair shot in the algorithm. But at the same time, I do know other people who have like a lot of subscribers who've started brand new channels from nothing because they were basically trying to employ the logic that I'm describing here, and it didn't work. So there's two sides to it. But like the idea that the 6 million subscribers or whatever, 5 million is so advantageous is, it's not as important as people think it is.
Is the history of having the experience and the wisdom of having the channel for as long as that is an advantage?
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Like just all the stuff I've learned over the years. Yeah.
So
sure.
That's what I'm saying. That needs to be taken into consideration.
But I taught them everything that they know. I told them everything that they could possibly have wanted to know, and they had access to all of our fans.
But you're going to have super dedicated fans to No Jumper that are going to be like, I'll never support them for not being a part of this or for disrespecting or jumping ship. Though they didn't get all of the fans.
Some of that, but like I'll put it in perspective. When they left, I remember that there was a day where I think we had to pre-record the Tuesday show that day. And so T-Row went live on Back and Fig at the same exact time that we were doing the Tuesday show or whatever. And I think they might have had 10 or 12,000 people watching. And I think we had 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a moment where the fucking world was their oyster, where they could have like really ran off with the fan base if the content was good enough. I felt like they watered it down. I think they just like did too much, made too much boring content, spread it all over the place between a ton of different channels. And I don't think that they're in a situation where they're going to like make more content and that will be good. I think that the more they make, the more it gets watered down now.
Well, if you oversaturate, of course, like I would say the pivot, how we talked about the pivot with No Jumper and like experiencing this. And I'm going to say, I have to go this direction because of this. I think that they can make a pivot. And just like you said, it could be one thing that does this and this and that. The TF being over there, showing up, like that circle of what they have is special. Like the people that are attached to T-Rail, to Smack, and that whole, the conglomerate of what Back on Fig is, it just is motivational to people that grew up how we grew up.
Fucking TF better start clicking play on some of them videos. He better start smacking that like button because shit is looking rough.
But the level of skill and the level of talent is there, and it's just a matter of time. And I'm not gonna kick them out and be like, oh, that's over. No, it's just the beginning, I think.
No, I'll tell you that I do feel like, you know, just to use T-Rail for an example, I do feel like it's been like almost 100% downhill for the last couple of years for him. But when I saw him bring Sharky in, that was when I was like, okay, maybe you will be able to dig yourself out of the rubble, because I think him, like, I think he's partially been held back by Smack because Smack, let's be real, like Smack is funny and kind of cool and stuff, but he doesn't have like the same work ethic that T-Rail has. You know, it's like Smack seems like pretty comfortable sleeping on the couch and having one foot and all this shit. And like T-Rail, I think wants to hustle and wants to grind. And Sharky seems like somebody who's like more on the same page as him in that regard. So, you know, the same way that like when No Jumper felt like it was moving a little slow, I've always been able to like bring in a new host and that brings new life to it. That's what I saw with the Sharky T-Rail thing. But if he's not able to pay him, it's probably gonna be kind of short lived, you know?
I think Smack plays a very pivotal role as a character over there. I like
who else is hawking loogies like that?
I relate more to Smack as how I grew up than I do to T-Rail.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I've dealt with more Smacks in my life that I risk my life, they risk their life for me, than I can relate to a T-Rail because of how I grew up, where I grew up. And for people that grew up that way, and we may not think Smack is the best podcaster or the podcast etiquette, but just him being him is really the special part. You know what I mean? Just Smack being Smack. And I get the like Sharky breathing life into Back on Fig. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
And that's dope. And I hope both of you guys, everybody, I want us all to win. I hope we all just keep growing or whatever.
I've just seen clips where T-Rail seems like he's like mega frustrated with Smack because, you know, they'll go to interview somebody and like maybe T-Rail is like kind of prepared for it or whatever, and then Smack's just doing whatever. And like,
but maybe that's not his strong suit though. You
right.
know what I mean?
But I think with T-Rail, like he felt like they were doing content together and that was supposed to be that dynamic. I think he's kind of realized that Smack's not necessarily like the guy that's going to always be able to have his back doing content day in, day out. Whereas Sharky, to his credit, seems like he's kind of willing to put the work in.
So shout out to T-Rail for being observant and being aware of the situation to be like, okay, you know what? I need to add another element, and I'm not trying to hurt my friend that I grew up with or try to dismiss him. Let me find a way to make this work. So that's actually a good thing. You know, like trying to figure out how to make this work or add this in there. And I think Smack does very well with the T-Rail and him at the computer. That one, now interviews, add the Sharky in there. That's dope. What would you? Okay, so if you were to start right now, fuck that. No, not if you were to start. What would you do if you were FMW? How would you build out? What would you do? Because Duno is killing it with Jakarta.
Yeah.
They have a podcast that's doing really well. They're doing a show that's sold out. Pun is doing some fucking Taser Gang police reaction shit, and his page has passed up the first page. His reaction page is 100,000 followers.
Wow.
And so he does like police reactions, and they're figuring out their ways. They're figuring out their lanes. But back to the question.
Because I will say that like at some point I unsubscribed to Pun. So I have no idea what he's doing. So that's like, I didn't even really know. I guess I've seen people mention the reaction thing, but you know, honestly, shout out to him because think about it. What he was doing with you guys, it's difficult to keep a crew together. You got to chop up the money one way or another. I assume that was probably a little bit of the breakup or whatever, but with him just reacting, like no overhead, you can just do it. That being said, it kind of weirds me out seeing like so many people basically like turn to reacting because then it's kind of like if everybody's a reactor, at a certain point, there's going to be nothing left to react to. Like if No Jumper ceased to exist right now, there's so many reactors that would be struggling. Like what the fuck?
That's the problem.
What are we talking about now? We got to find new podcasts to talk about.
That's the problem. And that's what I've seen for the future is like on the pivot, right? Like on the pivot, what is going to be so polarizing to react to that you're not attached to? You know what I mean? Like if the pivot is so far the pivot that it's just these conversations of fuck it, just say politics. Are you going to react to politics? Is that what you're about to pull up? And
probably most of the people who react to No Jumper are not really qualified to react to politics. So, you know, are they going to start watching the Joe Budden podcast? I mean, that's a big ass podcast. If they were going to be reacting to that, they'd probably already be doing that, you know? Right. So I don't really, there's a lot of people that would be out of jobs if No Jumper ceased to exist. And it does kind of make
not
me
even
think,
ceased if you just switched up. Like if you just did different content.
Or if we never had a crazy fight or not like a violent fight, but like a huge argument or messiness. Like let's say we started pre-recording everything And when shit got too heated, we just clip that out. You know, all right, this is too much. We got to like have a conversation off camera or whatever. Like, you know, because a lot of those things don't really benefit us. Like people think they do because of the visibility and everything like that. But like, you know, a thing where Wack fucking went to grab Flocko.
Oh, I forgot about that too.
Yeah, and DW had to hold him back.
P-Nice.
Or P-Nice had to hold him back. Yeah, and like that's an example of one that like, you know, I think the clip might have got 1 million views, but it was like demonetized instantly. And I think I looked at it like a little bit after it came out and was like, damn, we made like $100 off that. And then meanwhile, it's like, it's super viral. So, okay, maybe people are paying attention to No Jumper, but then also it's like kind of making No Jumper look like a shit show. You know, if I could have in that moment, it would have been nice to be able to just snip that out and just be like, but at the same time, you know, it is like, it's something that happened and it's kind of weird if we like have it because people are going to talk about it either way, you know? So I don't know. There's a lot of ways you could go with it, but.
How big is Wack 100 in the future of No Jumper? How valuable is Wack to No Jumper?
Man, I fuck with Wack. I like him. I think he's a good guy. Sometimes I don't agree with how he beefs at people and shit like that. But I mean, yeah, I appreciate him. I don't really feel like he ever did me dirty. Like obviously there's been hosts that I wish that he had been able to get along with. You know, I was able to get him and Moose cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was never able to get him and Brick cool. There was multiple times where they got cool and then they were supposed to do a podcast together. And then like the podcast was like 3 days away. And somehow somebody talked shit on social media in those 3 days and made it so that it couldn't happen, you know? And I mean, one thing that you see now is like people do podcasts together and then they just start talking shit about each other right afterwards. Like immediately they just find a way. So yeah, I'll fuck with Wack though. Like, I don't know. I appreciate what he brings.
I don't see another Wack 100.
That's a good point. Yeah, you can't think of anybody like him, right?
If you think about like individuality, like character wise, who else is, I'm not sure how old Wack is, but his experience, what he's experienced in life and who he is in life, who's another Wack 100?
Yeah. And now Wack is kind of like different because after I created a show with him, then you all of a sudden have academics calling him about stuff all the time. You have Vlad interviewing him all the time. He's going on a lot of different podcasts and stuff. Before I had Wack doing the show with me, obviously he was famous, but it wasn't really quite the same. You know, he was sort of like, I think people were scared to work with him. You know, it was because of me working with him that Vlad was willing to squash his beef. They had beef for 10 years, you know? Yeah. And like,
really?
Yeah. And like Vlad hit me up, or actually, no, I think Vlad, he wanted to interview Game and he realized that it was probably going to have to go through Wack.
Mm-hmm.
And so somehow they were able to get on the same page and squash that beef and everything like that. But I don't think Vlad even trusted Wack enough to be somebody he could work with unless, you know, until that. Like, I think that was what kind of did it for him. Like, made him realize that Wack was a reasonable guy.
Was Wack was working with Tekashi 6ix9ine before No Jumper, right?
Yeah.
Because that was a big polarizing person. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and Wack, honestly, that's one thing, as much as he's been wrong about quite a few things over the years, that's one thing he was right about, because he said, bro is not really, you know, like basically said, yeah, he told, but he ain't from my city. He ain't from my area. He ain't from my generation. And realistically, these non-Trey Bloods in Brooklyn were stupid as fuck for allowing this dude to go on shootings and send them on shootings and shit like that. And Wack's attitude was basically like, this dude's talented. He's got a future in entertainment and music, etc. Why do I need to, you know, not work with somebody who I think is a profitable investment just because he told on some shit that has nothing to do with me? You know, I don't agree with him telling, but what the fuck do I care? Like, you know, the shit happened, and like, you know, if he's still got talent, he's still got personality, whatever. And that mentality has now become like the default mentality for everybody, like in the streamer space and shit like that, where
he was ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah. For me, same thing. It's like, you know, yeah, I like have thoughts about people who snitch or whatever, because, you know, I come from hip hop culture where that is very much looked down upon. But, you know, at the end of the day, what, were we just going to like view this guy as an enemy for life because he got himself into a crazy situation and ended up telling to get out of the situation? You know, I don't give a fuck. And I think, granted, like you still, I've asked some street dudes, and most of the street dudes are not fucking with 6ix9ine. Like you still don't really seem like a rapper embrace him. You know, like if you had like a 42 Doug kicking it with him and being friends with him.
Yeah.
If you had a Lil Durk, God, that's definitely not going to happen. But you know, somebody like that, like if he was kicking it with them, then you would really start to see like, oh, the world is changing, because that's what we haven't seen. But the fact that all these streamers and shit are like super down with them and love doing content with them and shit, like I feel
he's
like
entertaining.
Yeah, Wack saw that before it played out.
And he did that PowerPoint with the podcaster from Atlanta, like
brutal. Big Bang. That was a high point in the 6ix9ine comeback.
Dude,
Wack, shit down. Like, who does that?
Like, should not have allowed, like, but it was good for him. But I think Wack looks at him like, this dude is a civilian that was playing a gangster. Yeah. And they took advantage of who he was. They knew he wasn't that.
Yeah.
You know, and so.
And I was trying to say he was never a blood on the podcast the other day, and I was proven wrong by ChatGPT, and I called Wack, but I guess I was mistaken about that. But I thought that was Wack's reasoning for why he didn't give a fuck about the snitching, is that from my perspective, like 6ix9ine was never really a real blood, because you never got put on, you never really got formally initiated into this. From my perspective, it would be like if I was hanging out with, you know, the Rolling 40s fucking every day, and let's say they get so comfortable with me that they're taking me on drills and they're letting me watch where drugs are manufactured. Not that they're doing that, but if that was the case,
that's on them.
That still doesn't make me a neighborhood Rolling 40 Crip.
No.
I'm just a homie who's hanging out. And really, at the end of the day, if you let me see all this shit and we all get caught up together and I tell on you, you can say I'm a bad person, but you can't say that I'm a bad gang member.
No,
I was just hanging out, you know?
I was a civilian that was accepted.
That was the logic that I thought Wack was using to say that 6ix9ine was cool, was that he was never really a blood. But then I got informed that actually he does consider him to have been a blood, so whatever.
Yeah, I would say Wack is one of the most valuable figures right now. You know what I mean? Like, I was just wanting to get your opinion on it, because I don't know anybody else that is that of what he is. You know what I mean? Like, there's no competition for Wack 100. Like, and you got him. Did Wack reach out to you to come there, or did you reach out to Wack?
I reached out to him, and it was actually Remo who was on my ass telling me what a great idea he thought it was. Because when we were trying to rebuild after those guys left the platform, Remo kept saying, like, bro, if you start a show with Wack, it'll kill it. It'll help you like get out of this little slump you're in, whatever. And I was like, he's too controversial. He's too messy. He's too wrapped up in the street shit, blah, blah, blah. And we had that conversation before I actually really started the podcast with him. And I was like, bro, I don't want any of your street shit getting brought to the building. I don't want like any of that drama. I just want to be able to sit down with you every week and do a podcast, you know? And he was cool about it. And honestly, like that was such a W at that time, because like, you know, now the views might be more like 150 to 200K. We were hitting like 350 or some shit with Wack, like in the beginning, like over and over and over. And that was when I was like, oh, like that gave me a huge boost of confidence of like, oh, these guys left the platform, but it's not going to matter. Like I'm going to be able to rebuild. And like getting Wack and having his show do better than any of those shows that I had before those dudes left was like a huge confidence boost. So the fact that he held me down during that time period too is maybe why people sometimes are like surprised that I have like so consistently shown him love and doesn't seem like I'm ever gonna turn my back on him. I mean,
you have a sense of loyalty there to like, dude,
And keep in mind too that AD and Trell were talking to Wack like he was a fucking what's the bad slave? The house slave or whatever. Like they were talking about him like he was being like a bad black man
for dealing with you. They
thought that Wack, despite never being briefed on what Figmunity was supposed to be, they thought that Wack was supposed to show solidarity with them. And I think that was kind of like a blow to their confidence early on when they realized like, oh, people like him are just going to go take the seats that we were in before. Oh, fuck. You know, like that means that it's probably not going to be too long. And then, oh, boom, you slip Brick Baby in there. It's like, and that's the thing too, is that they can't disrespect Brick Baby. they can't disrespect Wack because Wack's gonna pull up. Brick Baby's gonna get it popping way before y'all are.
Well, they have a relationship with Wack. Like AD has a relationship with Wack. I think they might have a relationship with Brick Baby or some shit. I don't know.
But at that time, I don't think they really did. And it's like, you know, that was one thing with, man, people don't know that about Brick, is that there was multiple times where Brick just made it clear to me, like, you know, like, if anybody, like, fucks with you, like, I'm going to handle it. Like, he was telling me that, like, when I didn't even really want him to say that. Like,
but AD did that for you, too.
Yeah, a little bit, but not like the same way.
Well, he faced off with the Mexicans. He faced off with your mortal enemy.
He invited the Mexicans.
Milk 74.
Yeah. I mean, the difference is, though, is that, like, AD, like, takes those situations and, like, completely twists the facts to make it seem like he was Batman in those senios. To me, it was a little different. But there's shit that people will never know about with Brick, that he was really down to crash out for me. So that's, I think, why me and his relationship is different.
Shout out to that, having a real like. So what's up with Brick now? You and Brick, is that a real friendship?
Yeah, I mean, we still talk. I still send him money, all shit like that. But I don't. I'm like, sometimes I feel like he's not in the best mental space.
Of course not,
because he used to, like, reach out more, and, like, not just me, but, like, I talked to other people too that, like, I feel like he's just kind of, like, down in the dumps a little bit right now, at least. Because especially just not having been sentenced. I feel like if he gets sentenced, even if it's ugly, then he'll at least be able to, like, settle in.
At least you know what you're facing, but you have to walk down.
Yeah.
And that shit is understandable to be depressed in that kind of situation. I don't wish that on nobody, really. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And so that's another fucking thing. Like, fuck all the people that are fucking. Damn, I'm cussing too much. My bad.
Can we do like another 15 minutes?
Yeah, it's all good. We can stop whenever you want to. I was gonna say the brothers that have all gone to jail. Like, Suspect is went. Brick Baby is gone. Loose Cannon has went to jail. You know what I mean? Like, and it's all like, can you understand why people see or say the things that they say about the platform?
It's just like the most not really paying attention ass take, because when you look at what Brick got wrapped up for, it was basically for, like, buying guns off of people who trafficked them over state lines, that type of shit. And yeah, they were able to, like, you know, when they basically put together the paperwork to, like, deny his bond, they pointed out some stuff from No Jumper, like, in particular the fact that there was, like, a podcast where you could see a gun in his waistline, which, you know, really feels like the bare minimum of things that he should have avoided, being a fucking felon on camera on a podcast. It's like, I understand that at a certain point that, like, some people need to have guns on them, even though they're felons and they have to take that risk. But, like, could you just not show it on camera? Like, what the fuck? But that, you know, okay, so that one had nothing to do with us, even though, like, you know, it happened the night after he did the podcast with Loose Cannon, which seemed crazy to us. So then Loose Cannon never had anything to do with No Jumper. He did, like, 2 podcast appearances, but he was never an employee or anything like that. The Suspect thing, I never even really saw what it was. I think he maced some girl or something. Like, he had crazy shit going on. None of it had anything to do with No Jumper. And then who else has kind of gotten locked up? Like, Ant got locked up for some shit that happened in his neighborhood, allegedly. CripMac, when he got locked up, it was for a gun that he didn't get caught in No Jumper or anything. So yeah, it's like, it's weird because it does seem consistent, but also, like, if you were to just hang out with a shitload of gang members all the time, yeah, a bunch of them are going to go to jail. Like, that's just kind of part of the lifestyle. And especially, like, a lot of those dudes are felons who still roll around with guns on them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you know.
Does it weigh on you, though? Like, knowing these people, like, knowing them, like, and building relationships with them and them going down, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's rough. It sucks. Like, that's our biggest thing. Probably worse than, like, people just leaving the platform is people just getting removed from the platform by the government. You know, that's like, it sucks. And it's like, you know, even with Brick, it's like, you know, I tried to talk to him about how he was moving around and shit, and, like, you know, just being outside with guns and perks and lean and not giving a fuck. And you know, there was times where, like, he would pick me up to go do something and he'd be, like, whipping the car and drinking lean, and he's like got a blunt lit, and there's probably some shit in the car.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of thinking, like, bruh, like, I want you to stay on the podcast. Like, what the fuck? Like, if the cop pulls us over, like, I've been pulled over mad times with weed lit in the car and been good. because I don't have a criminal record.
Right.
If they pull you over and the car stinks like weed and you a felon, they are searching the whip. And, you know, certain things like that are just like, holy fuck. Like,
you are who you are and you move how you move.
Yeah. And like, you know, and I understand the gun thing because it's like at the end of the day,
my life is valuable.
Yeah. And you might be willing to take the risk of doing 10 years because you, or 5 years or 4 years or whatever that might turn out to. Is like, you might be willing to take that risk to not be caught lacking by somebody who wants to kill you. But you could also like not have a double cup full of purple liquid and a fucking blunt lit in the car.
Yeah.
So that to me is kind of like, damn, like I feel like I put so much time and effort into building you up and you're not even really moving around in a way that makes me think that you care about being free. You know, now granted, like the shit that he got caught up for is the shit he got caught up for, and it was actually just some other shit. But yeah, it's like sometimes that's part of what sort of like turns me off to the whole gang member as turned podcaster thing. Sometimes it's just like, damn, like maybe I should like aim at finding more hosts that are living a little bit more conservative lifestyles.
Yeah, I saw you getting like I've been paying attention more lately. Like I told you, I didn't really watch a lot, but now that I'm like investing in business and looking, I saw you get frustrated with Rick Rock. Like, is it frustration stacking up that are coming to the surface level, like a frustration? Like, okay, I know this genre, I know this arena. I'm telling you what it is, and it's coming out to the surface and being like, not necessarily dismissive, but listen to what I'm saying.
I mean, that is one thing that I have a hard time with is when I'm telling somebody some shit and I'm an expert in that thing. And then they tell me I'm wrong and they don't really got like an explanation for why I'm wrong, but they just like want to let me know that I'm wrong. And it's like, bro, I've been doing this for 10 years. Like I know way more about this shit than nearly anybody. And yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know. Sometimes it's just, that can be kind of like an awkward conversation with certain people. I like Rick Rock, but for sure, I like, you know, sitting there talking to somebody for 4 hours, you start to pick up on the things
that was 4 hours?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay.
You know, you start to pick up on things that are maybe like not really beneficial for the conversation. And, you know, that's awkward for the people to see. And that's one thing that with No Jumper, I've always just like, if I like somebody, if I want to try them out as a co-host, bring them on. We're doing it live. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
One time, just to put in the other perspective, Joe Budden was doing a show on Revolt called State of the Culture, right? And somebody put him on to me, and he was talking about me being one of the hosts, right? And so he had like a casting day in Hollywood, and I went there, and it was like Chuck English from the Cool Kids was there, and like I forget who the other people were. It was a couple other personalities, and they basically like put us all down on a couch, gave us some topics, and we start talking about it. And Joe Budden's just sitting there in the corner, like rubbing his chin, just watching, just sort of taking notes or whatever, you know. And like he was super into me by the time that we were done. That, you know,
was
like,
that his first time
meeting me?
You?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is, I think, 2018, and he was super enthusiastic or whatever, and it didn't work because I was basically like, I'm not moving to the East Coast and I'm not flying to the East Coast a couple days a week or whatever. I just was like, bro, like I was like a brand new, making like legit ass amounts of money at that time, and I was like, bro, there's no way I can be spending that much time flying back and forth when I got this going on, you know. And because that was when the music streaming shit was going really crazy, which was like the biggest lifeline at that time. And if I did host auditions like that, I could spare the audience from seeing a lot of the awkward moments, you know. If me trying out Rick Rock was like, yo, pull up to the studio, and then we sit down with him for 30 minutes on camera with me and him and a couple other people or whatever, and I just really like sit back, because I feel like I'm capable of watching somebody podcast and like pretty much being able to tell you like 100% if they could be successful as a podcast. You know, I don't think I'm like letting anybody slip through. I could pretty much just evaluate them and judge them or whatever. So, but then that can be awkward, because sometimes, like, you know, it's kind of unbecoming for people to see you doing a podcast and sort of barking at the hosts and getting annoyed by them and shit like that. I let the people see that And I could just not do that, but I don't know. I've always kind of looked at No Jumper as this like madhouse thing where you just get to see everything. Like, you know, everything is the good, the bad, and the ugly. You get to see it. Yeah.
It's transparent. Get it right here, raw and uncut.
But it does occur to me that, you know, there's a lot of like people that I might want to try out that it might make more sense to just take a day off from content and just do a bunch of auditions and just sort of sit back and like really evaluate people. But then even as I'm thinking it, the first thing that comes to mind is like, well, maybe I could do it on members because the members would really like to see that, you know?
Yeah.
It's like immediately my brain wants to contradict the thing that I'm laying out there.
Yeah. They're like, this is not what I paid for. Or,
Yeah.
But so, okay, before we get out of here, who are your top 5 that you're looking at right now?
Oh, I can't get into that. That's too much. I can't.
Who are they?
I don't know, because there's a lot of like people that are like a little interesting to me, and I'd kind of have to just try it out before.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really want to like throw anybody out there prematurely.
And then have somebody scoop them up like you try to do Sharky.
But that's but that's the weird thing about it too, is that it's like, who's my competition that would scoop somebody up in LA
that can outbid you,
or even bid at all? Because T-Rail's already said he ain't paying nobody, so it's like
he didn't say that.
Yeah, he did.
There's monetary value somehow. There's some value. There's something being gained somewhere.
I think that T-Rail's thing is like, you do like to Sharky. It's like, do 500 podcasts with me, and maybe like you'll create so much value that at a certain point I'll have to start paying you. Whereas my thing is like, I'm just gonna pay you, and if it works out, I'll keep paying you, and if it doesn't work out, then maybe this will fall apart as time goes by. But like, I think everybody deserves to get paid for their time. And especially like, bro, you don't want to get fucking sued for wage theft. If you have somebody doing podcasts for you for free for a long period of time, they can sue you, because that is you working for free. And unless you have an agreement in place that they're going to work for free, you can get fucked. And I've heard about this happening to people. So to anybody out there, like, that's one piece of advice that if you haven't had to go through it, and I haven't actually had to go through it, but I've been in situations where I had to do some wheeling and dealing to get people to sign paperwork at certain moments or whatever. But like, you can't let somebody podcast on your platform for free over and over.
Yeah.
I guess you can if you don't really have money, but if
somebody is your friend, if somebody is who you grew up with, they can
still sue you.
They could.
You got to get them to sign the contract saying that they are choosing to do this podcast for free, because otherwise, after the fact, they could say, "Hey, I worked 800 hours for this guy and I didn't get paid. I'm suing you for $1 million." A fair rate is, I don't know, $50 an hour or whatever the fuck it might be. Like,
yeah,
I want my bread, you know, like that's like a real thing that people should worry about. So if I was T-Rail, actually, that's one thing I would do, is get Sharky to sign a contract that says, I'm doing these podcasts out of the goodness of my heart, and I'm not getting paid. Because otherwise Sharky is going to be able to sue him. Like, I've almost had to deal with it before.
Backhanded advice. Oh, that is good information though. But I think what he gains from being there, the opportunities of being seen and being back on Fig and meeting the people and talking, you get to put on display your skills and what you're about. Bigger opportunities will arise. I think that's the benefit of being on a No Jumper or being on a FMW or back on Fig. It's the putting eyes on you and you getting to put on display your skill. Yeah. Before we get out of here, give me a critique on me and what you would do, advice you would give to me to build better or be better.
Well, I wanted to watch the episode where you guys talked about you going on No Jumper. I didn't actually get to see that, but that was one thing I really wanted to watch, which would probably like illuminate my thoughts on this a bunch more. I would say that, like, I don't think like clipping is going to be economically wise for you in terms of just hiring people. But what I would do if I were you is, like, if you're going to spend 3 hours doing a podcast, you should also spend a couple hours like taking, like going through, finding the best clips. If I were you, I would have 10 Instagrams, 10 TikToks, 10 Twitters. And because that's like essentially what like somebody like Aiden Ross is paying people to do. And maybe at a certain point you find somebody that's down to work for cheap or free, and like just really like focus on like how you can take moments and make them work as short form content. Because you know, your biggest problem is for sure probably like visibility. Like you make dope content, but it's hard to make it spread. And obviously, like, you don't know when something is going to happen on your podcast that's like viral worthy or whatever, but I would probably put time into that in terms of like just clipping the stuff yourself, you know, go on the 10 Instagram accounts and post them, and like, you know, find ways to write crazy captions and stuff, or write captions that are on the screen and shit that will like draw people in. Because I feel like if you have one of those, like say you post 100 Instagram reels across these different clipping accounts that you create, and one of them gets 1 million views, I just feel like that's worth more. That like that visibility is probably worth more than you doing 10 podcasts that don't really get clipped or don't really like spread to anybody outside your audience. I feel like that, and that's one thing that always kind of frustrated me with like the No Jumper hosts that I kind of developed and stuff, is that so many of them basically just decided to take the clout that I gave them and like sit on stream for hours and hours and hours and get donations and, you know, run up the AdSense or whatever. That shit is good for your hardcore fan base. If you want to bring people in, you got to do short form content, figure out what, you know, what a great Rios TikTok is, you know, even like, even somebody as successful as 1090 Jake, who realistically makes a YouTube video every day, damn near, that will make him like a couple $1,000. He basically is doing like Instagram reel / TikTok versions of all of his content, because he realizes that discoverability is probably like the main thing that is going to like make his channel bigger or get him out there to more people. So I think for anybody who's doing long form content, you just really got to fix or figure out the short form problem, which is like, how do I make my content work on short form? And is there a more short form native version of it, of me like kind of talking into the camera, as opposed to doing a podcast and just clipping that up and putting it on short form platforms? I just, as much as it's a lot of fucking work, if I was you, I would maybe like do a little bit less content and do a little bit more of that.
Okay.
I feel like
that makes a lot of sense.
That would move the needle more than like just doing more and more and more, you know?
Thank you. I appreciate that, because that's valuable information you like that I'm going to take to the bank. And that is something I was thinking about. Like, you have to invest more in spreading the content. You're doing the 3 hours, you're doing the podcast here, you're doing the lives, but you have to, what is it if you're not pushing it?
Right. And at some point, like the best thing that could happen to you is like, you just find some opinion that you have that's controversial, or something that you really want to talk about that like other people maybe aren't emphasizing or whatever. And at some point, people start to get it into their head, like, who is this motherfucker with the big beard who's just talking to me on TikTok, you know? Because like people to me all the time will be like, yo, you know the fat Mexican lady that's always cooking on TikTok? And I'm like, no, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah. And they don't even know the lady's name.
Oh, shit.
But they're like, they've seen her so many times on TikTok that it starts to build up a presence in their mind. And, you know, there's a lot of people like that. People would be like, yo, you know the black kid who does the crazy wheelie tricks or whatever? And I'm like, yes.
I do know who that is. I
know exactly what
you're talking about.
I'm like, but like, these are people who like are so not invested in it that they don't even know their name. Whereas like every single person that watches your content right now knows your name.
Yeah,
they know
exactly.
Everybody else on the podcast, whatever. It's like, I just feel like that, like being able to like make strides on short form is for sure like the biggest thing that'll like increase your viewership and get you out there, you know?
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for the advice. Thank you for stopping by. It's not something small. It's a big deal. Thank you for coming to the platform and
pleasure,
being
man.
transparent, open, talking about everything and discussing. I'm very appreciative, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. Shout out to Rios. Everybody watch No Jumper and like, comment, and subscribe on this very video.
This very one.
And you got to weaponize the fan base. Tell them that you want them to start clipping your shit, and just be like, listen, we're not the biggest platform, but if you're a fan of my shit and you've noticed moments that you think could work, clip that, send it to me, post it on some accounts, yada, yada. And like, you know, if you have one that does good, I'll be able to like break you off with something, or at least, you know, do something for you. I feel like that could go a long way, you know?
There we go.
Yeah.
You heard the man.
Right.
Mr. Jason Rios, YouTube channel, man. Society of Freedom as well. We out.
Let's get it.